Chapter 382. Director Zhang was stunned and then cried, "What? Who are you kidding? My underwear is fading." Can underwear fade? People like you have never lived a hard life. Of course, you don't know that inferior underwear will fade. Qin Haodong turned to the young man and asked, "Your underwear is no more than 20 yuan, right?" The young man did not speak, and the old woman said with some embarrassment, "Dr. Tang, this pair of underwear is only 8 yuan. My son hasn't married yet. I want to save more money for him so that he can get a wife in the future, so I usually spend a little less. I didn't expect to make such a fool of myself." Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing. Go back and change into underwear, take a shower, and everything will be fine. Remember, although life is a little difficult, you can't buy such inferior things. Faded underwear is still very harmful to the skin, and it's easy to get skin diseases if you wear it for a long time." "Got it, Dr. Tang. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll pay attention in the future." The old woman and the young man thanked Qin Haodong again and again. After putting on his shoes again, the young man turned his head and pointed to Director Zhang's nose and cried, "Quack, I'm not sick at all. You cheated me of more than 1,000 yuan. Give me back my hard-earned money." Director Zhang said with embarrassment, "Well, the hospital took the money, and I can't give it back to you. Son, forget it. Let's go home." In the end, it was the old woman who dragged the young man out of the traditional Chinese medicine consultation room. Before they left, the young man spat at Director Zhang and the others. "You can't even tell that the color of your underwear has faded. How dare you call yourself an expert?" Seeing the two people leave, the experts' faces were burning. They had originally come to slap Qin Haodong in the face, but they didn't expect to be slapped in the face by such a dramatic plot. The most sad thing was that they were defeated by a pair of underwear. These people had no face to stay there any longer. They turned around and were about to leave, but they heard Qin Haodong say, "Wait a minute. Who said you could leave?" Dong Kai was angry. Qin Haodong's performance just now made him think that this person was weak and easy to bully. He turned his head and roared, "I can come and go as I please. You can't control me." Before he could finish his words, Qin Haodong reached out and poked him in the chest. Then he stood there like a wax figure and could not move anymore. Realizing that he had lost control of his body, Dong Kai was frightened. He cried in horror, "What are you doing? Let me go." Director Zhao stepped forward and said, "Hurry up and let him go. Do you know that this is a personal attack? You have to bear legal responsibility." Before he finished speaking, Qin Haodong also hit his acupoint. In the blink of an eye, the 7 or 8 people who had just come to the traditional Chinese medicine clinic to provoke were all standing there like wax figures, unable to move. Only their mouths could still speak. You can do it once or twice, but you can't do it 3 or 4 times. As Chinese, you should understand this principle. But you've challenged my bottom line time and again. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll really think that I'm a sick cat. Qin Haodong stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the people in front of him playfully. Aren't you believers of science? Didn't he swear that the meridians of Chinese medicine don't exist at all and that acupoints are nonsense? Now I've hit your acupoints. Let's go. Show me if you have the ability. Although these people were doctors, they had never felt the feeling of being hit on their acupoints. They were all shocked and shouted, "Qin Haodong, you can't do this. Let us go." Qin Haodong walked around them and said sarcastically, "Aren't you believers of Western medicine? Aren't you medical experts? Now explain it to me. What's the reason? Why didn't you move when I pointed at you with my finger? Are you cooperating with me to perform magic? Unblock your acupoints yourself if you have the ability. Don't beg me." Dong Kai and the others struggled for a long time. Their foreheads were sweating, but they still couldn't get back control of their bodies. At this time, they completely understood the power of traditional Chinese medicine. They knew that the hitting of acupoints was not fake, but real. Standing like zombies was not a solution. Director Zhao was the first who couldn't help but say to Qin Haodong, Dr. Tang, I was wrong. I'm begging you, let us go. As soon as he started, the others also followed him to beg for mercy. Yes, Dr. Tang. It's our fault today. Please let us go. We used to have a misunderstanding about traditional Chinese medicine. Now we know that acupoints really exist. Since these people had changed their attitude, Qin Haodong glanced at them and sneered, now you know you're wrong? We know we're wrong. We know we're wrong. We admit our mistakes. We sincerely apologize to you and to traditional Chinese medicine. These people said hurriedly. They didn't have the demeanor of a chief expert just now. Admit your mistakes? Apologize? Is that useful? If an apology is useful, why do we need the police? Qin Haodong's expression changed and he said harshly, traditional Chinese medicine is the wealth left to us by our ancestors. It's the accumulation of 5,000 years of culture. It's the result of countless generations of research. Because of this, traditional Chinese medicine can cure any disease. It's also because the human body is a whole that traditional Chinese medicine doesn't need to be classified. I'm not against Western medicine. But you people have just learned Western medicine for a few years. It's ridiculous that you call yourself a science and question traditional Chinese medicine. How many years has it been since Western medicine was born? 100 years or 200 years? How can it be compared with 5,000 years of heritage? How can it be compared with traditional Chinese medicine? Dong Kai was reluctant to apologize. He cried, Tang Feng, we've already admitted our mistakes. What else do you want? What else? You just insulted traditional Chinese medicine. Now I'm going to slap your faces. How dare you? Before Dong Kai finished speaking, Qin Haodong had already come in front of him. Qin Haodong raised his hand and slapped him twice in the face. The two slaps were loud and crisp, leaving 10 red fingerprints on his face. Following that, Chief Zhao, Chief Li, Chief Zhang, Chief Zhou, those who came to provoke Qin Haodong in traditional Chinese medicine were all slapped in the face by Qin Haodong in public. The two young nurses were stunned and soon revealed unconcealable excitement in their hearts. They just thought that Qin Haodong was extremely weak. They didn't expect that he would be domineering in the blink of an eye. His slaps were so handsome. Dr. Tang is so handsome. He's my idol. I don't know if Dr. Tang has a girlfriend. If not, I'm willing to, this is just a small punishment. If I see you slander traditional Chinese medicine again, I'll cut your mouths. Qin Haodong shouted, get out of here, all of you. When he finished speaking, these people magically regained their ability to move. Dong Kai moved his stiff limbs and rubbed his swollen cheeks. He pointed at Qin Haodong and yelled, Tang Feng, just you wait. How dare you hit us? You'll be fired by the hospital. Pack up and leave. Qin Haodong's eyes lit up. Director Li also shouted angrily, that's right. We're all the elites of the hospital. You're just a Chinese medicine practitioner. How dare you hit us? You'll be fired. Qin Haodong frowned. He didn't expect that these people really didn't learn their lesson. They shouted at him as soon as they were released. Just as he was about to teach them a lesson, someone at the door shouted, who the hell is shouting here? How dare you disrespect my uncle? You don't want to work here anymore, do you? Everyone looked at the source of the voice and saw Zhang Hao at the door. Little boss? These people naturally knew Zhang Hao. He was the only son of their boss, Zhang Lijun. He was bound to be the heir of Guangren Hospital in the future. However, these people were also very confused. They looked at each other and didn't know who Zhang Hao called uncle. Dong Kai was puzzled. He couldn't think of anyone among them who was so low-key. He turned out to be Little Boss's uncle and had never been exposed. He really hid it well. But this was not important. What was important was that Qin Haodong was going to die today. This time, they didn't need to do anything. Little Boss would directly drive him out of the hospital. Who asked him to offend Little Boss's uncle? Thinking of this, he became more and more proud. He pointed at Qin Haodong and cried, "Boy, you offended Little Boss's uncle. You're dead." But before he finished speaking, Zhang Hao directly hit the back of his head. "Are you King sick? How can you talk to my uncle like that?" "Well, Little Boss, I didn't mean your uncle. I meant this boy." Dong Kai was so dizzy that he still hadn't come to his senses. Zhang Hao raised his hand and gave him another blow to the head. "This is my uncle." Ah! Everyone was dumbfounded. No one had thought that Qin Haodong, who didn't show himself, was Zhang Hao's uncle, the boss's brother-in-law. How could it be possible? If they had known this, they wouldn't have dared to make trouble for Qin Haodong. The hospital belonged to other people, but they came to provoke the boss's uncle. Weren't they stupid? Although these people's medical skills were very good and they were all authoritative in the industry, Guangren Hospital was the best private hospital in the south of the Yangtze River. The salary offered to them was also very good. If they were really fired by the boss, it would be difficult to find such a good place again. At this time, Zhang Hao came to Qin Haodong and said with a flattering face, "Uncle, these bastards dared to disrespect you. Tell me, how do you want to deal with them? I'll help you right away." Qin Haodong looked at these people playfully. Everyone who met his eyes immediately lowered their heads, for fear of provoking him again. Especially Dong Kai, he was now regretting to death. Why didn't he just stay in the office and drink tea and flirt with the little nurse? Why did he come here to get involved in this mess? At this time, his heart was in his throat. He was afraid that Qin Haodong would ask Zhang Hao to fire him. After a pause, Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "Tell them all to get out of here. Don't come to the traditional Chinese medicine clinic again." Zhang Hao was originally a playboy, so he naturally wouldn't be polite to these people. He immediately shouted, "Did you hear that? My uncle asked you to get out of here. Get out now. Don't come here to make the old man unhappy again, or I'll make you pay." Although these words were extremely rude, these people immediately ran out of the traditional Chinese medicine clinic as if they had been pardoned. They were afraid that they would lose their jobs if they were slow. After driving these people away, Zhang Hao said to Qin Haodong with a smile again, "Uncle, if anyone in our hospital provokes you again, tell me. I'll immediately ask them to pack up and get out." Of course, Qin Haodong didn't care about these things. He smiled and said, "Keep a low profile. I told you to keep a low profile." Zhang Hao patted his head and said, "I'm sorry, uncle. I couldn't control myself when I saw these guys make you angry." Qin Haodong said, "What's done is done. What do you want from me?" Zhang Hao said, "Uncle, today is Rubing's birthday. I want to discuss with you what gift to give her." Chapter 383. Qin Haodong then remembered that today was Wang Rubing's birthday. He used to remember his sister's birthday every year, but this year there were so many things that he had forgotten about it because of the serial murders. He said, "The key to a gift is the intention, not the value. Just do it with your heart." Zhang Hao said, "I know that, but I want to ask you, uncle, what does Rubing like most?" Qin Haodong said with a look of reminiscence, "When I was a child, my family was poor. Before the new year, what I wanted most was a string of firecrackers, and what Rubing wanted most was a beautiful headdress. When I grew up, I would give her a headdress every time she had a birthday. Now that she has a boyfriend, I'll give you this task." "That's great, uncle. I knew you would give me good advice." Zhang Hao said excitedly, "Now go to the best jewelry store and order the most beautiful headdress for her." "What kind of headdress?" "Make her a queen's crown. Wang Rubing will be my queen for the rest of my life." Seeing Zhang Hao's attentive look, Qin Haodong was secretly happy for his sister. It was not easy for a woman to meet a man who loved her sincerely. Wang Rubing was lucky in this regard. For his sister's happiness, he asked again, "Does your family know about you and Rubing?" Will they think that Rubing's family is too ordinary? Zhang Hao said, no. They won't. I've already told my father about Rubing. My father said that he completely respected my personal opinion about finding a girlfriend. He just asked about Rubing's birth date. Qin Haodong said in surprise, birth date? Director Zhang cares about this? Of course. Although my father is a doctor, he is very superstitious about this. He said that my mother died soon after giving birth to me because of the incompatibility of the birth date. So if two people want to be together, the most important thing is that their birth date matches. Oh. Qin Haodong nodded and asked, what about your birth date with Rubing? Does it match or not? Zhang Hao said excitedly, I don't know about these things. My father found someone to calculate that they match very well. It's like a match made in heaven. That's good. Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. If the marriage was opposed by the family, it would definitely be troublesome. A marriage without the blessing of the family was difficult to achieve perfect happiness. Zhang Hao added, my father has seen Rubing's photo and likes it very much. He's going to celebrate Rubing's birthday with me tonight. It's like meeting her parents. Not bad, I wish you all the best. Qin Haodong poured a cup of tea and handed it to Zhang Hao, saying, have a cup of tea and try my cooking. It smells so good. Zhang Hao smelled the aroma of the tea from afar. He reached out and took it. Then, he drank the tea in the cup in one gulp. He couldn't help but exclaim, Uncle, your tea is really fragrant. I've never had such fragrant tea. Qin Haodong glanced at him and said, so you are left-handed? Ever since he learned that the serial killer was left-handed, he had been particularly sensitive to people's left and right hands. Just now, Zhang Hao had used his left hand to drink the tea. Zhang Hao laughed and said, yeah, people say that left-handed people are smart. I got it from my dad. My dad is very smart, and he's also left-handed. After that, Zhang Hao drank 2 more cups of tea in a row, then said goodbye to Qin Haodong and left the traditional Chinese medicine clinic. There were not many patients in the morning. After Qin Haodong treated a few more patients in a row, it was lunchtime. Guangren Hospital had its own staff cafeteria. He went downstairs to the cafeteria for lunch. As soon as he got downstairs, he met Fang Yuqi. Fang Yuqi's face was a little pale and a little tired. When she saw Qin Haodong, she said, Dr. Tang, let's eat. Qin Haodong laughed and said, yes, what a coincidence. Let's eat together. Yesterday you treated me to a 400,000 yuan meal. Today I'll treat you to a meal in return. Speaking of the meal last night, Fang Yuqi smiled and said, are you laughing at me? I didn't bring enough money to treat you to dinner. It's not your fault. That restaurant is too unscrupulous. They went into the cafeteria talking and laughing. After getting their food, they found a table and sat down. Qin Haodong said, you don't look very well. Are you too tired? I'm a little tired. Fang Yuqi first took a sip of soup, then said, I don't know why Lu Fei didn't go to work today. I did all his operations. I didn't even have time to drink water all morning. Today's operation schedule is too busy. There are 3 operations in the afternoon, 1 big and 2 small. If it weren't for the director's help, would have been too busy. The director's help? Can the director also perform operations? Qin Haodong asked in surprise. Of course, the director was a famous scalpel in Guangren Hospital. His surgical skills were so high that even I felt inferior. It's just that later he became the director and rarely performed. If it weren't for the special situation today, when Lu Fei suddenly disappeared, he wouldn't have come to help. Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat. He touched something again, but he still didn't grasp it. Fang Yuqi continued, I don't have enough energy today. Last night, I went shopping. First, I met a drunk hooligan, then I encountered a murder case, and I was taken to the police for interrogation. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so tired. She didn't know that the man sitting in front of her was the one who had interrogated her last night. After lunch, they said goodbye. Fang Yuqi went back to rest. She needed to sleep for a while so that she could be energetic for the afternoon operation. Qin Haodong saw a dozen more patients in the afternoon. Near the end of work, he received a call from Nailan Wuxia. Haodong, are you off work? Nailan Wuxia's voice was a little tired. I'm off work. What's the matter? You're off work. Come to work with me. Nailan Wuxia said, 4 people died in a row. The higher-ups attach great importance to this case and demand that it be solved in the near future. But now there are no good clues, so we can only start by investigating Taoists. Today, our people brought back a dozen Taoists. Come and help interrogate them and see if you can find anything useful. Okay, I'm on my way. Qin Haodong hung up the phone and shook his head with a smile. It seemed that Nailan Wuxia was really desperate. She even used such a stupid method. It was also because of his mind manipulating. Otherwise, no matter how many people he interrogated, it would be useless. He took a taxi to the crime squad, went to Nailan Wuxia's office to remove the disguise on his face, restored Qin Haodong's appearance, and then went to the detention room. When he got there, he couldn't help laughing again. There were more than a dozen old Taoists, big or small. The old ones were 70 or 80 years old, and the young ones were 20 or 30 years old. Some were sage-like, and some were sloppy. There were all kinds of people. Nailan Wuxia said, there's no other way. Let's try it. Maybe we can find some clues from these people. Qin Haodong nodded and went to the interrogation room with Nailan Wuxia. 2 policemen brought a little old Taoist in his 20s and began to interrogate him. In order to save time, Qin Haodong directly used mind manipulating and asked, do you know about the soul-calming talisman? The little old Taoist said, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Did you do the murder a few days ago? I don't know about the murder, and I haven't killed anyone. After a few simple questions, Nailan Wuxia made sure that the little old Taoist was not suspected of committing a crime at all. Then, she directly let him go, and then brought in an old Taoist in his 40s. Qin Haodong asked, do you know about the soul-calming talisman? The old Taoist shook his head. I don't know. What is it? Aren't you a Taoist? Why haven't you heard of the soul-calming talisman? The old Taoist said, I'm a fake Taoist. I don't know Taoist magic at all. I just got a Taoist robe to cheat some food and pocket money. Nailan Wuxia didn't expect to catch a fake Taoist who was swindling people. She called in 2 policemen and said, send him to the police station and deal with him as a fraud. After that, they asked 7 or 8 Taoists in a row, but still found nothing. At this time, the 2 policemen brought in another old Taoist. The old Taoist looked sloppy. His Taoist robe was shabby, and his face was full of wrinkles. It was impossible to tell his age. And he looked a little crazy. If he were a monk, he would be similar to Ji Gong in the TV series. After entering the door, before Qin Haodong could say anything, the old Taoist looked at Nailan Wuxia and said, Policewoman, do you want to see me for fortune-telling? Let me tell you, I'm known as the god of fortune-telling. I know 500 years in the past and 500 years in the future. Each divination is 200 yuan, and I'm honest. But since we're fated to meet, I'll give you 2 a divination for free. Qin Haodong found it very interesting that the sloppy old Taoist would tell the police's fortune and charge them for it. He didn't stop him, but just watched with a smile. The sloppy old Taoist glanced at Nailan Wuxia with his turbid eyes and said, Policewoman, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You don't have to worry about food and clothing. You'll find a good husband in the future, but there's one thing that's not so good. Nailan Wuxia didn't take the old Taoist's words seriously at first. Hearing him talk about her marriage, she couldn't help but ask, what's not so good? The sloppy old Taoist said, your husband is fated to be in love. No matter where he goes, he'll be accompanied by beautiful women. You can't enjoy him alone. But don't worry about it. All excellent men are surrounded by beautiful women. It's normal for them to have 3 or 4 wives, so don't worry about it. After hearing the old Taoist's words, Nalan Wuxia's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't help glancing at Qin Haodong. The man she liked was so perfect that she couldn't find fault with him. Besides, he was surrounded by beautiful women. It seemed that it was true. Young man, I'll also give you a divination for free. After the old Taoist finished speaking, he looked at Qin Haodong with his turbid eyes again. Suddenly, a light flashed in his eyes, but it disappeared in a very short time. If Qin Haodong didn't have a strong spirit, he wouldn't have felt it. Qin Haodong was shocked in his heart. At this moment, he was sure that the sloppy old Taoist was definitely a hermit master, even to an unimaginable level. After entering the threshold of covert power, he could easily see through the cultivation of supreme power masters with his strong spirit, but he couldn't see through the old Taoist. Could it be that the old Taoist had surpassed the supreme power? It was impossible to reach this level in a place like the earth, where the spiritual qi was scarce. Did he just see it wrong? However, in this way, he didn't dare to use mind manipulating on the old Taoist again. Mind manipulating was useful, but it had its limits. He had to ensure that his spiritual power could crush the old Taoist, or he would encounter a strong backfire. While he kept guessing, the old Taoist also showed a puzzled face and murmured, "Strange, really strange. There's even a face that I can't see through." Nalan Wuxia didn't know what they were thinking. Seeing that the old Taoist didn't say anything, she asked, "Taoist, why don't you speak? What's his fate like? How many women are there in his life?" This was what she cared about most. She felt that the old Taoist was really something, so she couldn't help asking. Chapter 384. I'm ashamed. I'm really ashamed. The old Taoist shook his head and said, "I can't see through this man's face. This is the first time I've encountered such a thing since I started practicing the 5 elements divination." Qin Haodong was shocked again. He was reborn in another body, which was equivalent to changing his fate. Naturally, he couldn't predict his future. However, the slovenly old Taoist could even see through this. From this point, he was different from those Jianghu swindlers. Nalan Wuxia didn't know this. The old Taoist said that Qin Haodong's fate couldn't be predicted, which made her suspicious again. She couldn't help asking, "Are you a fortune teller or not?" The old Taoist priest regained his crazed expression and said, "Of course, I can predict the future of anyone except this benefactor." Nalan Wuxia was confused about whether the fortune the old Taoist had just calculated for her was accurate or not. To verify it, she said, "I mean, can you predict a person's birth time?" The old Taoist said, "Of course, but there's a fee. 200 yuan for each hexagram. If you can predict it accurately, I'll double the fee." Nalan Wuxia told him the birth time of the first victim. "I have a friend who was born at 11 p.m. on December 5, 34 years after the founding of the People's Republic. Can you help me predict his fate?" The slovenly old Taoist closed his eyes slightly, and the 5 fingers of his left hand moved quickly. Then he suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Nalan Wuxia, saying, "Officer, this man is dead." As soon as he said this, Nalan Wuxia's heart suddenly jumped. The old Taoist could predict that the man was dead. Either the old Taoist was good at divination, or he had something to do with this case. After thinking for a while, she felt that the former was more likely. If the old Taoist really had something to do with this murder, he wouldn't have revealed such a flaw. It seemed that the old Taoist's fortune teller was not a bluff. Thinking of this, she really took out 4 red 100 yuan bills from her pocket and gave them to the slovenly old Taoist. The old Taoist immediately smiled when he saw the money. He happily took it and put it in his pocket. "Since you've taken the money, you should complete the divination." The old Taoist priest continued, "This person has a fire fate, and there will be a great calamity in his life. It comes from the time of the fire sun in the year of Ding Yu, when the fire heart flame absorbs the 5 elements. He should be hiding at home today, or at least away from places with the fire attribute. If this person had met me earlier, I would have taught him how to avoid disasters. Unfortunately, he did not have this fate. As the saying goes, if the king of hell wants him to die at midnight, no one dares to stay until midnight. This is his fate. The old Taoist priest's 5 fingers twitched a few more times as he said, "This person must have suffered quite a calamity. His limbs would have been mutilated after his death." With his fire elemental life providence and the fact that he died on such a special day, it seems like his fire elemental heart was damaged. After he finished the calculation, Nalan Wuxia was stunned. The old Taoist was so powerful that he could calculate the situation of the deceased clearly. Qin Haodong was also quite shocked. It seemed that the old Taoist was indeed a rare hermit master. Seeing that the old Taoist was so accurate, Nalan Wuxia asked excitedly, "Taoist, can you figure out who the murderer is? As long as you can figure it out, I'll give you 10 times, no, 20 times the amount of divination money." The old Taoist looked at her and said, "Although I'm an ironclad fortune teller, I'm not an immortal. How can I calculate so much? If you can know the murderer's birth date in 8 characters, I can calculate for him." Nalan Wuxia looked disappointed. If she knew who the murderer was, she would have arrested him long ago. There would be no need for her to calculate. At this time, she thought of the purpose of bringing the old Taoist to the interrogation room, so she turned to look at Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "Let the Taoist go." Now it seemed that this case could not have been done by the scruffy old Taoist. In other words, even if it was done by the old Taoist, with his current cultivation, he did not dare to use the mind-manipulating skill on the old Taoist. Although Nalan Wuxia did not know why Qin Haodong let the old Taoist leave without asking a word, she still did as he was told. She said to the old Taoist, "Taoist, sorry to disturb you today. Please go back." Hearing that, the old Taoist immediately said to Qin Haodong with a smile, "Young man, you are good. I owe you a divination just now. Now I'll give you a hint. In fact, the answer you are looking for is in front of you, but you haven't found it." After saying that, the scruffy old Taoist laughed and left the interrogation room. "The answer I am looking for is in front of me, but I haven't found it." Recalling the old Taoist's words, Qin Haodong had the same feeling again. It seemed that he had grasped the key to the problem, but he was just a little bit away. Since the old Taoist said that he would give him a hint, he must have found something. What did he find? Qin Haodong closed his eyes and replayed the scene after the old Taoist entered the door in his mind. Nalan Wuxia knew that he was thinking about something, so she did not disturb him, nor did she ask the police to bring in other old Taoists. After entering the door, the old Taoist first calculated for Nalan Wuxia, which should have nothing to do with the case. Then he calculated for the dead man, which should be the problem. He repeated the hexagram that the old Taoist had told him from beginning to end. It was the day that the deceased died. The deceased was a fireborn, and the heart that he had lost was the heart that represented the element of fire. Thinking of this, he suddenly slapped his thigh. The dead man was in the kitchen god temple, which also represented the property of fire. This was definitely not a coincidence, but a careful plan by the murderer. He also knew the 5 elements algorithm, but he did not connect this case. It seemed that the answer the old Taoist said was in front of him, but he did not see it. Then he took the information of the other 3 dead men and checked them again with the 5 elements algorithm. The second dead man had a life of water. He died in a boat on the lake. Naturally, he had a property of water. He died on the day of water in the year of Dingyu, and he lost his kidney, which represented the property of water. The third dead man had a life of wood. He died in a park with a property of wood. He died on the day of wood in the year of Dingyu, and he lost his liver, which represented the property of wood. The fourth dead man had a life of metal. He died in a hardware store with a property of metal. He died on the day of gold in the year of Dingyu, and he lost his lung, which represented the property of metal. After summarizing all the information, Qin Haodong immediately understood that the murderer was obviously killing people according to the property of the 5 elements. This was definitely not a coincidence, but a careful plan. Killing people, taking away the 5 organs that represented different properties, and at the same time taking away the souls of the dead man. What was the murderer trying to do? At this time, he suddenly remembered that there used to be a kind of evil magic in the cultivation world, which used the 5 organs of the dead man and the corresponding souls to make elixirs. The elixir was called the 5 elements of soul-nourishing elixir, which had an amazing effect. It could heal people's injuries instantly and help them break through the bottleneck of cultivation quickly. There was no doubt that the murderer wanted to make this elixir. Seeing his expression, Nalan Wuxia asked, "Haodong, did you think of something?" The old Taoist was right. The answer is in front of me, but I didn't pay attention to it before. Qin Haodong told her his speculation and finally said, "The murderer is killing people according to the law of the 5 elements, and his purpose is to make the 5 elements of soul-nourishing elixir. The time of killing is not 3 or 2 days apart, but according to the order of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. That is to say, the next crime will be committed on the Earth Day of Dingyu." Nalan Wuxia asked, "When is it?" Qin Haodong counted with his fingers, and his expression suddenly changed. "The Earth Day is today, and the Earth Hour is 2 hours later." "What? That is to say, the murderer will kill again in 2 hours?" Nalan Wuxia cried, "Haodong, we must find a way to stop him. If the murderer kills 5 people and doesn't commit crimes again, it will be difficult to solve this case. Don't worry. Let's analyze it now." Qin Haodong said, "Now we are very clear about the murderer's motive. It is to kill people and make elixirs. The time of the crime can be preliminarily determined. It will take place 2 hours later, which is between 21 and 23:00 tonight. The location of the crime should be a place with a very strong earth element, but it is too wide to be sure. But we can start with the target. The murderer has now gathered the organs and souls of the 4 elements of metal, wood, water, and fire. The last one is the earth element, so the victim must be an earth element." Nalan Wuxia said, "But there are so many people in Huaxia, and there are definitely many people with an earth element. How can we be sure?" Qin Haodong said, "There are indeed many people with an earth element, but judging from the previous victims, the murderer has high requirements. He must be born on the Earth Day of Dingyu. There are definitely not many people who meet this condition. If they have seen a doctor in Guangren Hospital, it will be easy to be sure." Nalan Wuxia's eyes lit up. As long as they found the murderer's target, the case would be solved more than half. She said to Qin Haodong, "Tell me when the Earth Day of Dingyu are. I will ask the technical department to check the information immediately." Qin Haodong took a pen and paper, wrote the date on the paper, and put it in front of her. Nalan Wuxia took out her mobile phone and immediately dialed the number of the technical department. "Help me check the birth dates of these people immediately. The range is the medical information database of Guangren Hospital." After several consecutive cases, the technical department had stored the medical information database of Guangren Hospital in electronic files. The speed of the inquiry was very fast. A few minutes later, the result of the inquiry was sent to Nalan Wuxia's mobile phone. Nalan Wuxia glanced at the mobile phone and frowned slightly. Qin Haodong asked, "What's wrong? Is there no one who meets the conditions?" "There are 2 results. One died in a traffic accident the year before last, and the other emigrated overseas and officially settled in M country. He hasn't returned to Huaxia for a long time." Qin Haodong also frowned. In this way, there was no target for the murderer to commit the crime. Naturally, the case could not be solved. Nalan Wuxia asked, "Haodong, since there is no suitable target, is it possible that the murderer will stop the crime tonight?" Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "It's unlikely because the murderer has obtained 4 kinds of organs and can't store them for too long. He must find a suitable spleen as soon as possible. Otherwise, all his previous efforts will be in vain. We can't just limit our attention to the medical personnel of Guangren Hospital. Since the murderer has started to commit the crime, he should have made a detailed plan before. Maybe he already has a suitable target in mind. This person may be his friend or someone he knows." Nalan Wuxia said anxiously, what should we do? We have no direction at all now. At this moment, Qin Haodong's mobile phone rang. He glanced at it and found it was his aunt, Li Shulan. Aunt, what's the matter? Haodong, today is your sister's birthday. She is in Jiangnan City. Help me buy her a gift. Yes, aunt. Qin Haodong suddenly asked, Aunt, what time was my sister born? She was born at 9:00 in the evening. Qin Haodong's expression suddenly changed. Wang Rubing was born in an earthy year and earthy day. Coupled with this hour, it completely met the conditions of the murderer. Chapter 385. Thinking of this, Qin Haodong couldn't help but feel creeped out. He asked again, Aunt, did you remember it wrong? Li Shulan said, what are you talking about? Aunt is not a dotard. How could she forget her daughter's birthday? That's right. Your sister was born at 9:00 in the evening. At that time, Aunt was ready to go to bed. At this time, Qin Haodong had no time to listen anymore. He quickly said, Aunt, I'm in a hurry now. I'll call you back when I have time. Then he hung up the phone with a heavy face. What's wrong, Haodong? Nalan Wuxia asked. She had rarely seen Qin Haodong so nervous. My sister was born in the Earth year, day and hour. I have a bad feeling that she will be the murderer's next target. Then what are you waiting for? Ask where your sister is and go to protect her now. First of all, you have to ensure her personal safety. It would be best if you could catch the murderer. Qin Haodong nodded, took out his mobile phone and dialed Wang Rubing's number. He asked, Sister, where are you? Wang Rubing said excitedly, I'm with Zhang Hao. He said he would give me a special birthday tonight. Qin Haodong said, Tell me where you are. I'll come to you now. Wang Rubing laughed and said, What are you doing here? Don't you feel like a third wheel? Qin Haodong was not in the mood to joke at this time. He didn't want to tell Wang Rubing the truth for fear of scaring her, so he said, and asked me to prepare a birthday gift for you. I want to send it to you now. Wait a moment. Zhang Hao and I are in the car. I'll send you the location when we get there. Where are you going? I don't know. I'm in Zhang Hao's car. He said he would take me to a special place. Wang Rubing's tone was both excited and expectant. This was the first time she had spent her birthday with her boyfriend. That's it. I'll send you a message when I get there. Then she hung up the phone. Nalan Wuxia stood next to them and heard their conversation clearly. She asked, She's with her boyfriend. Don't you think too much? Was he really thinking too much? Zhang Hao was undoubtedly sincere to Wang Rubing. He could feel it. But why do I always have this kind of uneasiness in my heart? This kind of uneasiness came from the perception of the primordial spirit, so it should not be wrong. Suddenly, a series of images flashed through his mind. First, Fang Yuqi said at lunch, the director used to be a famous scalpel in Guangren Hospital. His surgical skills were so high that even I felt inferior to him. But later, when he became the director, he seldom performed. Then there was the conversation she had with Zhang Hao while they were drinking tea. Left-handed people are all smart, and my dad is also left-handed. My dad just asked for Rubing's birth date and had someone look at it and said that we are very compatible. In the end, Zhang Tingting from the archive said, only the director has a copy of the patient's electronic file. Seeing him in a daze, Nalan Wuxia asked, What's wrong, Haodong? Why don't you speak? I know who the murderer is. Really? Who is it? Nalan Wuxia asked with wide eyes. It's Zhang Lijun, the director of Guangren Hospital. Previously, we only focused on the doctors in Guangzhou Hospital, but we forgot that there's a director. He has the information of all the patients, so it's easy to check. Principal Zhang, is this possible? Hearing the answer, Nalan Wuxia was extremely shocked. It's him. I can't be wrong. I've already learned that Zhang Lijun's surgical skills are very high, and he's left-handed, which is in line with all our previous speculations. Speaking of this, Qin Haodong's expression suddenly changed. He also learned about my sister's birth date before. It seems that he has already made preparations. Zhang Hao said that Zhang Lijun will celebrate my sister's birthday with them tonight. This is a conspiracy. He must want to do it at this time. Speaking of this, he took out his mobile phone and called Wang Rubing again. In any case, he wanted Wang Rubing to return quickly. He could not risk his sister's life. But this time, the phone was turned off. He called Zhang Hao's phone again, but it was also turned off. Damn it. Seeing that there was only more than an hour left before 9 p.m., he turned to Nalan Wuxia and said, "Now we can be 100% sure that the murderer is Zhang Lijun, and the next target is my sister. Immediately ask your technical department to locate their mobile phones, and then immediately rush over after confirming the location." Nalan Wuxia also realized the seriousness of the problem. Orders were issued one after another, and the entire crime squad worked nervously. At this time, Wang Rubing was sitting in Zhang Hao's Passat. After talking with Qin Haodong on the phone, Zhang Hao said, "Today is a special day. Turn off the phone. Don't let anyone disturb us." Will that work? What if something happens to me? You're not the president of the country. What can be urgent? Let's talk about it tomorrow. Then he took out his phone and turned it off first. Well, I'll turn it off too. Wang Rubing hesitated for a moment and finally pressed the button to turn it off. Soon, the Passat left the city and drove to the suburbs. Wang Rubing laughed and said, "Zhang Hao, where are you taking me? You're not going to sell me, right?" Zhang Hao grabbed her hand and said, "How could that be possible? You're much more important than me in my heart. I would rather sell myself than sell you." "Then where are you taking me? Shouldn't we find a romantic hotel for our birthday? Why are we out of the city? I want to give you a surprise." "Of course, I can't tell you if it's a surprise. Otherwise, it won't work." Zhang Hao continued to drive forward. About 20 minutes later, they were completely out of the city. They drove off the highway and along the dirt road. Soon, they came to a small mound. After getting out of the car, he turned off the lights. It was dark around them. There was no light, not even a tree. Wang Rubing couldn't help but say nervously, "Zhang Hao, you don't really want to bury me here, do you?" Zhang Hao took her hand and said, "How could I? This is the birthday party I carefully prepared for you." After saying that, he raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The entire mound suddenly lit up. It turned out that the entire mound was already filled with all kinds of colorful lights of different shapes and colors, forming a beautiful heart shape. In the center of the heart shape was a large, crystal-like dining table. In the center of the table was a three-tiered birthday cake. Everything exuded a charming color under the illumination of the lights, looking like a world from a fairy tale. Looking at everything in front of her, Wang Rubing covered her mouth in surprise. She was moved and said, "Zhang Hao, did you prepare all this?" "Not only me, but also my dad. We prepared this unique birthday party for you together," Zhang Hao said. "My dad believes in metaphysics very much. He said that you have an earthy life, so it's best to celebrate your birthday in an earthy environment, so that you can live a long life. That's why I purposely chose this place for you. There's only soil here, no rocks, no water, no fire, no metal, not even a tree. Although it looks bare, my dad said that it'll be especially good for your future." At this moment, Wang Rubing's heart was filled with happiness. She took Zhang Hao's hand and said, "Thank you, and thank Uncle Zhang." Zhang Hao said with a smile, "You can thank me, but if you want to thank my dad, thank him in person." Wang Rubing said in surprise, "What? Uncle Zhang is here too?" "Yes, my dad saw your photo and was very satisfied with you. He wants to celebrate your birthday with me. He prepared everything here in advance." Zhang Hao took Wang Rubing to the table and shouted to an off-road vehicle parked in the other direction of the mound, "Dad, Rubing is here. Come out." Okay, I'm here. As soon as the voice fell, the door of the off-road vehicle opened and two people got out of the car. Zhang Lijun, the director of Guangren Hospital, walked in front, followed by an old Taoist. The old Taoist was about 60 or 70 years old, with a big beard and eyebrows. He wore a gray Taoist robe and carried a sword on his back. He looked like a sage and a master. If Qin Haodong were here, he would immediately recognize that this man was Dao Tong, who had been injured by them and had fallen into the devil's path. Zhang Lijun's arrival was quite a surprise to Wang Rubing. She was not ready to meet her parents. She did not expect Zhang Hao to bring his father. At the same time, she was a little confused when she saw the old Taoist. She did not know why he brought him to her birthday party. Zhang Hao also did not know Dao Tong. He asked Zhang Lijun, "Dad, who is this Taoist priest?" Zhang Lijun said, "This is Dad's master, Dao Tong. He is absolutely a master. You should call him Grandmaster. Come and say hello to him." Although he did not believe in strange things, Zhang Hao saluted the old Taoist out of respect for Zhang Lijun. "Hello, Grandmaster." Dao Tong just nodded slightly, but his eyes were fixed on Wang Rubing. There was a faint flash of greed and excitement in his eyes. Zhang Lijun said, "Hao, your Grandmaster is here today to celebrate your girlfriend's birthday. Hurry up and introduce him to us." Zhang Hao introduced Wang Rubing to Zhang Lijun and Dao Tong. Then the four sat down at the table and began the formal birthday party. In addition to the birthday cake, there were also sumptuous dishes and red wine on the table. Zhang Hao poured a glass of red wine for everyone and lit the candles on the cake. He blew out the candles and made a wish. Everything was no different from a normal birthday party. After that, he took out a very exquisitely wrapped box and gave it to Wang Rubing. "Rubing, this is the birthday present I prepared for you today. Do you like it?" Wang Rubing glanced at Zhang Hao and opened the box expectantly. When she opened the lid, she was stunned. There was a crown-shaped hairpin in the box. The whole crown was made of gold and was inlaid with several shining gems. In the light, it was both noble and beautiful, looking extremely moving. After a full minute, Wang Rubing came to her senses and exclaimed, "What a beautiful hairpin. Is this for me?" Zhang Hao was very satisfied with Wang Rubing's reaction and said proudly, "Of course it's for you. Do you like it?" "Yes. I like it very much." Although Wang Rubing was a little surprised by the arrival of Zhang Lijun and Dao Tong tonight, Zhang Hao had brought her one surprise after another. Her heart was completely filled with happiness. "Put it on and see if it's beautiful," Zhang Hao said, carefully taking out the crown-shaped hairpin and putting it on Wang Rubing's head. "So beautiful, so beautiful. You are my queen from now on," Wang Rubing said with a happy face. "Zhang Hao, thank you for the birthday present you prepared for me. I really like it." At this time, Dao Tong looked at Zhang Lijun and said, "Time's up. Let's start." Chapter 386. "Yes, Master," Zhang Lijun said respectfully to Dao Tong. Then he turned to look at Wang Rubing and said, "Rubing, there's something I want to discuss with you." Zhang Hao said, "Dad, what can't we talk about later? Rubing hasn't blown out the candles and made a wish yet." Zhang Lijun said with a playful smile, "It doesn't matter whether I make a wish or not. It won't come true anyway." When he said this, Wang Rubing's face immediately became ugly. What did he mean by it was meaningless to make a wish? What did he mean by it couldn't come true? Zhang Hao said discontentedly, "Dad, today is Rubing's birthday. How can you say that?" Zhang Lijun ignored him and continued to say to Wang Rubing, "Rubing, Uncle Zhang wants to borrow something from you today." Zhang Hao said again, "Dad, we don't have anything at home. What do you want to borrow from Rubing?" "You shut up." Zhang Lijun glared at Zhang Hao. Although Wang Rubing was a little unhappy, she said patiently, "Uncle Zhang, just tell me what you want. I'll lend it to you as long as I have it." Zhang Lijun smiled and said, "Let me tell you a story." Both Zhang Hao and Wang Rubing were extremely surprised. They didn't know what Zhang Lijun was doing. First he said he wanted to borrow something, and now he wanted to tell a story. Zhang Lijun ignored their expressions and continued, "Legend has it that there is a kind of medicine that can make people immortal after eating it." As soon as he said this, Zhang Hao said, "Dad, you are a doctor. How can you believe this kind of rumor? There is no elixir in the world. I've already told you to shut up." Zhang Lijun glared at Zhang Hao again and continued, "This medicine is called the 5 Elements of Soul-Nourishing Pill. Although it can't really make people immortal, it can at least make people immune to all kinds of diseases and make people live hundreds or even thousands of years." Wang Rubing stopped Zhang Hao, who was about to open his mouth to refute, and said, "Uncle Zhang, whether what you said is true or not, I don't have the 5 Elements of Soul-Nourishing Pill, and I can't lend it to you." Zhang Lijun ignored her again and said, "The 5 Elements of Soul-Nourishing Pill is made from the 5 internal organs of human beings. The heart of the fire attribute, the kidney of the water attribute, the lung of the metal attribute, the liver of the wood attribute, and the spleen of the earth attribute. These 5 organs, together with the soul of the dead, can make the perfect 5 Elements of Soul-Nourishing Pill." After hearing this, Wang Rubing and Zhang Hao were shocked. Zhang Hao cried, "Zhang, what are you talking about? This is obviously magic. How can it be true?" Zhang Lijun stared at him and said, "This is what your grandmaster taught me." "It's true." Zhang Rubing, he. Zhang Wang turned to Zhang and Lijun, "Zhang Zhang Zhang. Zhang, Zhang Zhang Hao. Li, Zhang, Tong Zhang, Zhang, Zhang Zhang, Zhang Hao, Zhang 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 Tong. Zhang, Zhang, Ru Zhang, Zhang Zhang Bi, Zhang." Zhang Hao suddenly stood up and shouted, "Dad, are you crazy? What nonsense are you talking about?" Zhang Lijun's expression did not change much. He continued to say lightly, "Son, I'm not talking nonsense. You can't blame me for being cruel. I didn't want to do this. However, of the 2 owners of the spleen, one died in a car accident, and the other ran to M country. I can't find him. We can't wait any longer, or the organs we collected will lose their effectiveness. So we must gather the spleen to make the pill tonight." He opened a wooden box next to him. There were 4 neatly placed incubators in it. He pointed to the 4 incubators and said, "Look, there are already hearts, livers, spleens, and kidneys in them. We need a lung to make the pill." Zhang Hao was shocked and cried, "Dad, are you serious? This is against the law, don't you know?" Zhang Lijun's face suddenly flashed with madness and he shouted, "The law is nothing. Your grandmaster said that if we make the 5 Elements of Soul-Nourishing Pill, he will give you one. You can live forever like us. Don't you want it?" "No, I just want to be with Rubing and Bai." Zhang Hao pulled Wang Rubing up and was about to leave. "Stop right there." Zhang Lijun stood in front of Zhang Hao and Wang Rubing and said in a cold voice, "Since you're here, how can you let her go?" Zhang Hao felt that the Zhang Lijun in front of him was very strange. He was no longer the father he admired very much. He said angrily, "You asked me to bring Rubing here for her birthday. You've already prepared for this, haven't you?" Zhang Lijun sneered and said, "That's right. The day you told me her birthday, I was so happy that I couldn't sleep. I was worried that I couldn't find a spleen of the earth attribute. I didn't expect you to bring one back for me. Do you know why I set the place here? Because this is the best area of the earth attribute, the most suitable for her spleen removal surgery. Soon we will be able to collect the 5 organs and ask your grandmaster to refine the 5 Elements of Soul-Nourishing Pill. Then we will all be immortal." Only then did Zhang Hao realize that all this was not for Wang Rubing's birthday, but a big conspiracy. He took a step forward, stood in front of Wang Rubing, and growled at Zhang Lijun, "No, whoever dares to touch a finger of Rubing today, I will fight him to the death, even if you are my father." "You're so stubborn." Zhang Lijun said, "You can't stop this kind of thing." Zhang Hao was just about to say something when he felt someone patting him on the back of his neck. Then he fainted and fell to the ground with a plop. Wang Rubing immediately exclaimed, "Zhang Hao, what's wrong with you? Are you all right?" Zhang Lijun looked at Dao Tong and asked worriedly, "Taoist, how is my son?" "Don't worry, he's just in the way, so I knocked him out. He'll wake up in a few hours." Dao Tong said, "Don't waste time. It's the time of the earth." "Got it, master," Zhang Lijun said. He took a white towel from the table and covered Wang Rubing's face with it. The towel had been fed with a strong anesthetic. Wang Rubing was examining Zhang Hao on the ground. Covered by the towel, she fell to the ground with a plop. Although she was still conscious, she lost the ability to move. After all this was done, Zhang Lijun raised his hand and pushed all the cakes and other things on the table to the ground. Then he picked Wang Rubing up and put her on the table. The dining table was 2 meters long, and there was a large space above Wang Rubing's head. He took out a brush, dipped it in red ink, and drew a large soul-calming talisman on the dining table above Wang Rubing's head. At this time, Dao Tong dragged out a stove from under the dining table, took out 4 incubators, put them next to the stove, and took out 4 bronze coins from his pocket. The square holes of the coins were filled with smoke. If you looked closely, it turned out to be a ferocious ghost face. It turned out that these copper coins were magic weapons called soul-locking copper coins, which could trap people's souls inside and prevent them from reincarnating. Dao Tong took another look at Wang Rubing on the dining table and couldn't help laughing proudly. "As long as I get this woman's spleen, I can refine the 5 elements of soul-nourishing pill. At that time, not only will my injury be healed, but I can also seize the opportunity to break through to the supreme power realm. Dao Xian, Qin Haodong, wait for me. When I break through, I'll skin you and pull out your tendons." In the last war, Dao Tong had been hiding in Jiangnan after being injured. He had tried many ways to cure his injury, but he couldn't. His cultivation had also plummeted, from the original half-step supreme power realm to the first level of covert power. Later, he accidentally got an ancient book left by an evil cultivator, which recorded the refining of the 5 elements of soul-nourishing pill. It said that the pill had the power to go against the natural order. It could not only make people live forever, but also break through the bottleneck of martial arts and greatly improve cultivation. In order to cure his injury, Dao Tong decided to refine the 5 elements of soul-nourishing pill, but he didn't have this condition. Later, he found Zhang Lijun, the director of Guangren Hospital. He first threatened Zhang Lijun with poison, and then used longevity as bait to make Zhang Lijun willing to be his accomplice. It seemed that God was helping him. Everything went so smoothly. In a few hours, Dao Tong would be able to get the 5 elements of soul-nourishing pill. Looking at Wang Rubing lying in front of him, Zhang Lijun was also excited. Although he had a rich family and was the director, it was not as tempting as immortality. As long as he could eat the 5 elements of soul-nourishing pill made by Dao Tong, he could enjoy the world for a longer time. He took out a shiny scalpel from his pocket and was about to cut Wang Rubing's waist. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from behind. "If you dare to touch my sister, I will make you wish you were dead." Dao Tong and Zhang Lijun were startled. They looked back and saw Qin Haodong standing behind them with a murderous look. "Your sister? The heavens really have eyes, sending your sister to me." Dao Tong did not panic at all when he saw Qin Haodong. On the contrary, he was very excited. The last time they fought, Qin Haodong was only at the level of the 9th level of overt power. Although his cultivation had fallen sharply, he was also a master at the level of covert power. It was easy for him to deal with Qin Haodong. "Boy, without the help of that old guy Dao Xian, you still dare to come to die. You're tired of living." Dao Tong turned to Zhang Lijun and said, "Hurry up. I want him to see with his own eyes how his sister became the material of my alchemy." "Yes, master." Zhang Lijun promised and picked up the scalpel again. "You're courting death." Qin Haodong gave a cold shout and tapped the ground with his toes. A fist-sized piece of soil flew out and hit Zhang Lijun in the chest. Under the violent impact, although the soil was torn apart, Zhang Lijun flew back 6 or 7 meters and fell to the ground with a bang, as if he had been hit by a cannonball. He was just an ordinary person. After suffering such a heavy blow, there was a sharp pain in his chest. Then he spat out a big mouthful of blood and struggled for a long time without getting up. "Boy, I'll kill you." Seeing Qin Haodong hurt Zhang Lijun under his nose, Dao Tong was furious. He pulled out the sword behind him and used the heavenly fairy to stab Qin Haodong in the air. In his view, he was a master of covert power, and Qin Haodong had not broken through the bottleneck of covert power. Naturally, he dared not fight with him. He had even thought of Qin Haodong's next move after he dodged. At this moment, a cold light flashed in front of him, like a lightning bolt in the night sky, and suddenly struck him. Dao Tong, who had felt the great pressure of the knife in mid-air, hurriedly waved the sword in his hand to meet it. At this time, Qin Haodong had reached the realm of half a step to the supreme power realm, and he had cut the sword in two with a casual slash. The powerful force sent Dao Tong flying backward, and he began to vomit blood in mid-air. Half step to the supreme power realm, how is this possible? Dao Tong's heart was full of fear. He couldn't figure out how Qin Haodong's cultivation had improved so much in just a few days. Even in his heyday, he might not be able to win. Chapter 387. After feeling the strength of Qin Haodong's cultivation, Dao Tong had no time to think about the reason, nor did he care about Zhang Lijun, who was still lying on the ground. The gap between their cultivation was so great that there was no chance of getting lucky. If he continued to fight, he would die. The only thing he could think of now was how to escape. "Boy, you wait and see. I'll make you pay for what you did today 10 times sooner or later." Dao Tong looked at Qin Haodong fiercely. His eyes were full of hatred, as if he wanted to swallow him alive. After that, a blood mist appeared on the surface of his body. The blood mist grew larger and larger, slowly wrapping his whole body in it. The blood shadow skill was an evil method. Last time, he relied on this method to escape from Dao Xian. Although the cost of using the blood shadow skill was great, he couldn't care less at this time. Qin Haodong stood there, just looking at Dao Tong with a sneer, without any intention of stopping him. The blood mist began to drift away from its place. Unexpectedly, before it could drift far, there was a muffled bang, as if it had hit an invisible wall. Then Dao Tong let out a scream and fell to the ground again, covered in blood. Qin Haodong stepped over, looked at him playfully and said, "Run, why don't you run?" After determining the location of Wang Lijun and others, Qin Haodong arrived here one step ahead of Nalan Wuxia and others, where he saw Dao Tong. The evil old Taoist had escaped once last time. How could he not be prepared this time? He quickly set up a trap around the mound. You. What do you want?" At this moment, Dao Tong's heart was full of fear. The young man, who was so weak in front of him last time, was now so powerful that even escape had become an extravagant hope. "How dare you ask me what I want? You kidnapped my sister. You killed innocent creatures one after another. You wanted to refine the 5 elements of soul-nourishing pill. You are unrepentant. Of course, I want to get rid of evil for the people." Every word Qin Haodong took a step forward, and every step seemed to step on Dao Tong's heart. Dao Tong cried in panic, "You can't kill me. I'm a member of the Qingyi school. If you kill me, my master won't spare you. You're just an abandoned disciple. How dare you say you're a member of the Qingyi sect? Moreover, you've done so many heinous things. Even if you say the sect leader of the Qingyi sect is your father, I'll still kill you today." Qin Haodong stretched out his right hand, and the 1,000 blades appeared in his palm. It turned into a flash of lightning and cut toward Dao Tong. Dao Tong grabbed the broken sword in his hand and tried to resist desperately, but the gap between them was too big. His blood-drawing skill had consumed a lot of his pneuma. Before he could see what was going on, he felt a pain in his waist. The 1,000 blades had been inserted into his ribs. Ah! Dao Tong let out a heart-wrenching scream and stepped back, clutching his wound. Didn't you want to cut off my sister's spleen? I'll destroy your spleen first. Qin Haodong pierced Dao Tong's spleen with his sword, and then the 1,000 blades turned into a cold light again and pierced Dao Tong's liver. Then there were a few more screams. The 1,000 blades pierced the old Taoist's liver, kidney, and lungs one after another. You can't kill me. Please, let me go. Dao Tong was injured one after another and covered in blood. He had long lost his sage-like demeanor. Although he had been forced into desperation by Dao Xian several times before, he knew that Dao Xian would not kill him. But this time was different. He had smelled death from the young man in front of him. Go to hell. Whether it was refining the 5 elements of soul-nourishing elixir or kidnapping Wang Rubing, Qin Haodong had made up his mind to kill Dao Tong. The 1,000 blades in his hand flashed and turned into a flash of light, stabbing Dao Tong's heart. At this time, a loud shout came from the side, "Spare him." Although the voice was still 100 meters away, it was full of energy. It came from a master of internal strength. Then, a figure galloped toward this side in the night. But Qin Haodong ignored it. No matter who came today, Dao Tong must die. This evil old Taoist must not be left alive. The 1,000 blades did not stop. It directly pierced Dao Tong's heart and penetrated his heart. Dao Tong spat out a big mouthful of blood, then fell to the ground on his back, his eyes full of unwillingness. He had always felt that he was superior and could decide the life and death of others at will, but he never really thought that he would be killed one day. Now the day had come. The young man had no scruples about piercing his heart. Qin Haodong killed Dao Tong and looked back at the source of the voice. At this time, the black shadow had come to him. It was Dao Xian, Dao Tong's senior brother. Dao Xian looked at Dao Tong, whose internal organs had been pierced, and let out a deep sigh. Immeasurable Lord, junior brother, I'm still late. You've killed too many people. This is also God's will. Qin Haodong said, Taoist priest, Dao Tong killed people and took their internal organs to refine the 5 elements of soul-nourishing elixir. I've cleaned up the sect for you. After that, he began to be secretly on guard, not knowing what Dao Xian's attitude would be. Dao Xian sighed again and said, My little friend, I know Dao Tong has his reasons for dying. I don't blame you for killing him, but he is a member of the Qingyi school after all. Please allow me to take his remains back to the head. Yes. Qin Haodong agreed without hesitation. Death was like a lamp going out. Dao Tong was dead, so there was no need to care about his body. Moreover, he had a very good impression of Dao Xian. If it hadn't been for the old Taoist's help last time, he and his daughter would have died in the hands of Dao Tong. Thank you. Dao Xian picked up Dao Tong's body with one hand and quickly disappeared into the night. At this time, there was a harsh siren in the night sky, followed by countless beams of light. A police car surrounded the mound, and Nalan Wuxia rushed over with dozens of armed special police officers. She ran to Qin Haodong and asked eagerly, How is it? Is Rubing all right? She's fine. Fortunately, I came in time. After a brief introduction of the situation, Qin Haodong pointed to Zhang Lijun, who had just gotten up from the ground, and said, The case is very clear. He killed all the people. Knowing that the murderer was Zhang Lijun, Nalan Wuxia came to him and snapped, As a doctor, you don't want to treat people and save people. Instead, you do such inhumane things. You don't deserve to be a human being, let alone a doctor. Just wait for the punishment of the law. Seeing that his master, whom he regarded as a god, was dead, Zhang Lijun knew that the situation was hopeless. After being reprimanded by Nalan Wuxia, he cried out crazily, Why? Why do you do this to me? Is it wrong for me to want to live forever? Do you know how many people I have saved as a doctor over the years? How many people have I saved by opening Guangren Hospital? If I live forever, I can save many, many more people. What's wrong with killing a few people to make elixirs? I deserve it. Why should you stop me? You're crazy. Qin Haodong looked at Zhang Lijun, who had lost his mind, and said to Nalan Wuxia, this man is possessed. Don't talk nonsense, just take him away. Nalan Wuxia waved her hand, and immediately several policemen rushed up with handcuffs. Stop, all of you stop. A shiny scalpel appeared in Zhang Lijun's hand, and he shouted wildly, you can't arrest me. No one can punish me except myself. After that, he turned the scalpel and stabbed himself directly in the heart. Then he fell to the ground with a thud, and there was no breath of life. Zhang Lijun's suicide was beyond everyone's expectation, but it was also good. It saved them a lot of trouble. Nalan Wuxia waved her hand, and someone immediately took his body away. Qin Haodong took Nalan Wuxia to the 4 incubators. He reached out and took the 4 soul-locking copper coins that Dao Tong had put on them in his palm. He used several incantations to break the restriction on the copper coins. The 4 souls broke away from the shackles of the soul-locking copper coins and slowly rose. After bowing to Qin Haodong in the void, they entered samsara. The soul-locking copper coins were put into the storage ring. Qin Haodong said to Nalan Wuxia, well, I'll leave these things to you. Nalan Wuxia sighed and said sadly, these people are dead. Send their organs to the hospital first. We'll discuss how to deal with them after contacting their families. Soon, the police finished dealing with the scene and left with Zhang Lijun's body and the organs. Only Nalan Wuxia stayed. Qin Haodong came to Wang Rubing and massaged her body a few times. The green with genuine qi quickly forced the anesthetic out of her body. Wang Rubing had just lost the ability to move, but her mind was clear and she was very clear about what had happened. When she regained her ability to move, she threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms and cried. What had just happened had really frightened her. If Qin Haodong had been a step slower, she would have become the material of the old Taoists' alchemy. Well, it's all right. Qin Haodong patted her on the back and comforted her. Get up, your boyfriend is still lying on the ground. Wang Rubing climbed out of Qin Haodong's arms and said eagerly, Haodong, save Zhang Hao. What his father did has nothing to do with him. I know. Qin Haodong said as he patted Zhang Hao a few times. Zhang Hao was just knocked out by Dao Tong. After dredging his qi and blood, he immediately sat up from the ground. Rubing, none of you can touch Rubing. Zhang Hao shouted and looked around. When he saw Wang Rubing standing beside him intact, he grabbed her and said, did my father do anything to you? Wang Rubing took his hand and said, it's all right. It's all over. Haodong saved us. Zhang Hao looked around again and saw only Nalan Wuxia and the others. He asked, what the hell is going on? Where's my father? And that abominable old Taoist, he must have bewitched my father. Zhang Hao, you must be strong. Your father, at this point, Wang Rubing stammered. She was afraid that Zhang Hao couldn't take the blow. Let me tell you. Some things had to be faced sooner or later. It was better to get the pain over with. Qin Haodong took Zhang Hao to sit down and told him the whole case from beginning to end. Finally, he said, although Director Zhang is your father, he is really guilty. He killed 4 innocent people in succession and finally committed suicide to escape punishment. How could this be? How could this be? Zhang Hao's face was pale, and his expression was dull. He kept repeating these 2 sentences. What happened tonight was too much of a blow to him. Wang Rubing looked at Qin Haodong and said worriedly, is Zhang Hao all right? He's fine. He just can't accept it for a while. Take him back to rest and comfort him. Qin Haodong and Wang Rubing helped Zhang Hao into their car, and then Wang Rubing took Zhang Hao back. After they left, there were only him and Nalan Wuxia. Nalan Wuxia looked at Qin Haodong with watery eyes. Suddenly, she rushed forward and hugged Qin Haodong's neck and kissed him hard. Chapter 388. Chin Haodong was a little surprised, but a man couldn't admit defeat in this kind of thing, so he immediately kissed back. After a long time, the two slowly separated. Nalan Wuxia was still holding Chin Haodong's neck, her forehead touching his forehead and the tip of her nose touching his nose. She whispered, "Thank you for helping me again." She knew very well that if Chin Haodong hadn't quickly found the clues to solve the case, Zhang Lijun would have killed the fifth person and wouldn't have done any more cases in the future. This serial murder case would have become a dead case and a big stain on her career as a police officer. Looking at the extremely beautiful face in front of him, Chin Haodong couldn't help but gently peck her red lips again. Then he said, "Serving beautiful women is the basis of happiness. It's nothing. And if I hadn't helped you, my sister would have been killed by that bastard Dao Tong." Nalan Wuxia pulled Chin Haodong to sit down on the ground, looked up at the stars in the sky and said, "Since you appeared, you have saved my life and helped me so much. As long as you are around, I feel very safe. I feel that you are omnipotent and nothing is difficult for you." Speaking of this, she turned to look at Chin Haodong and said, "The old Taoist said that I have a Mr. Right in my life. It should be you. I'm not that good." Chin Haodong touched his nose and said with some narcissism, "Everyone has shortcomings, and so do I. It's just that I have too many advantages and haven't found the shortcomings yet." "You're flattering yourself." Nalan Wuxia leaned on Chin Haodong's shoulder and said, "Do you think the sloppy old Taoist was right?" "I feel very right. You are a perfect man in my eyes. You are my Mr. Right. It's a pity that there are too many beautiful women around you." Chin Haodong said, "I don't know. Maybe the old Taoist was just talking nonsense to cheat you of 400 yuan. Or maybe the person he was talking about was not me. You haven't met him yet." Nalan Wuxia held his arm tightly and said, "I don't care. Anyway, I've fallen in love with you. I won't find another man. It's up to you." Chin Haodong thought about it and said, "Let's leave everything to time. Maybe you'll regret it after a while." "I won't regret it." Nalan Wuxia said, "I think the old Taoist is right. This is my life." Chin Haodong felt that the atmosphere was a little heavy, so he changed the topic and said, "That sloppy old Taoist is really a master. If he hadn't told me, maybe we wouldn't have been able to solve the case now. It's a pity that I didn't ask his name or leave his contact information." Nalan Wuxia said, "It doesn't matter. If we are destined, we will meet him again. Well, you've been tired for so many days. Now that the case has been resolved, go back and rest." After that, Chin Haodong took Nalan Wuxia's hand and slowly walked out of the mound. Nalan Wuxia returned to the crime squad, and he returned to the Lin's villa. It was close to midnight. He entered the room quietly and saw that the little fellow was lying on the bed and had fallen asleep. Lin Momo was sitting on the bed and reading a book, still awake. "Momo, it's so late, but you haven't slept yet. Are you waiting for me?" Chin Haodong said as he came to Lin Momo's side quietly and held her in his arms. He hadn't seen her for a few days, but he had a feeling that absence makes the heart grow fonder. His two big hands quickly moved and reached into Lin Momo's pajamas. Just as he was about to take further action, he heard the little fellow say, "Papa, you're back?" Chin Haodong was speechless. His precious daughter had been sleeping very soundly. Why did she suddenly wake up? He quickly took back his two big hands and turned to the little fellow and said, "Yes, Papa is back." The little fellow asked, "Papa, what were you doing just now?" Chin Haodong had an idea in an emergency and said, Well, your mother just said that she was a little itchy, so she asked me to scratch it for her." Lin Momo gave him a charming look and thought, "I didn't itch at first, but now I'm itchy because of you." Fearing that his precious daughter would ask other embarrassing questions, Chin Haodong quickly held the little fellow in his arms, kissed her chubby face and said, "Tang Tang, have you missed Papa these days?" "Yes, I miss Papa." After the little fellow said that, she suddenly sniffed hard and said, "Papa, why do you smell so good? Are you with another auntie again?" Chin Haodong was speechless again. He thought that he had been so careful, but how could he still be found out? He glanced at Lin Momo and was about to make up another reason when he heard the little fellow shout excitedly, I remember, this is the smell of third mother. Papa must be with third mother, right? Did you go on a honeymoon with third mother when you weren't at home these days? Qin Haodong really admired his precious daughter. What kind of nose was that? What kind of brain was that? How could he guess everything? He could even remember Nalan Wuxia's smell clearly. Well, Tang, Papa is tired. Let's go to sleep. At the critical moment, Lin Momo helped him out. The three of them lay on the bed. The little fellow held Qin Haodong's arm and soon fell asleep again. Seeing that her daughter was completely asleep, Lin Momo said, Tell me, what have you been doing these days? Did you really go on a honeymoon with Sister Wuxia? No, I went to the police station to help solve the case these days. Qin Haodong didn't hide anything from Lin Momo. He told her about the serial murders from beginning to end. Finally, he said, Fortunately, I was involved in the case, or my sister would have died tonight. Lin Momo couldn't help but exclaim, I didn't expect these two people to be so crazy. In order to live forever, they even used human organs to make elixirs. It's really inhumane. Rubing is really unfortunate to encounter such a thing. But Zhang Hao is devoted to her. She should be happy in the future. Qin Haodong said, Some people are like this. In order to live forever, they don't care about the lives of others. Fortunately, everything is over. Dao Tong and Zhang Lijun are dead. This kind of thing will not happen again in the future. Let's live our own lives. After that, the two chatted for a while and fell asleep one after another. In the Yagyu family of M country, Yagyu Shinji, the master of the family, sat in the living room with a gloomy face. Opposite him sat a neon man in a kimono with a pigtail on the back of his head. This man's momentum was no weaker than Yagyu Shinji's. He had reached the level of first-grade heavenly ninja, which was the supreme power realm in Huaxia. Behind the man with the pigtail were three neon warriors. These people were wearing samurai suits with 3 stars printed on their collars and cuffs. They were 3-star superior ninjas. They were from the Hanaki family of Neon. The man with the pigtail was the master of the family, Hanaki Inuchi Wolf, and the other 3 were superior ninjas of their family. Yagyu Shinji said in a cold voice, Master Hanaki, what do you want to do when you bring people to our Yagyu family late at night? Are you here to show off? Hanaki Inuichiro laughed and said, Master Yagyu, what are you talking about? Our Hanaki family has always been on good terms with your Yagyu family. How can we show off? Yagyu Shinji did not speak, and his face was still gloomy. Fire could not be contained in paper. Although the Yagyu family had done a good job of keeping secrets recently, the news still leaked out. The news that the great elder Yagyu Ken had died and the Yagyu family's strength had been seriously damaged had spread throughout Neon. Neon had always been a country where the strong preyed on the weak. Seeing the Yagyu family declining day by day, many families began to have ideas about them. The Hanaki family in front of him was the most obvious one. Tonight, Hanaki Inuichiro came uninvited and brought 3 superior ninjas, which was obviously malicious. As for what he had just said, Yagyu Ken and the Hanaki family had always been on good terms, Yagyu Shinji would not believe it. Sure enough, Hanaki Inuichiro said, Hanaki family, I heard that your family has not been very good recently. Unfortunately, the great elder died in Huaxia, and more than half of the superior ninjas have been lost. Our Hanaki family deeply sympathizes with you. Yagyu Shinji said, Master Hanaki, you can't talk nonsense. The great elder has been in seclusion in our Yagyu family. He has not died at all. Ha. 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 Hanaki Inuichiro laughed wildly. When he was done, he said, Master of the Yagyu family, don't play that kind of self-deception anymore. Yagyu Ken's death is known throughout Neon. It's useless for you to deny it. Call him out if you can. As long as Yagyu Ken can come to me, I, Hanaki Inuichiro, promise to leave immediately without saying a word. Yagyu Shinji also knew that this matter could not be hidden anymore. He said, Hanaki, what do you want to do? In fact, it's nothing. Our Hanaki family feels that the Yagyu family has not been doing well recently, so we want to help you. Then he said with a sinister smile, I heard that the Yagyu family has no power to maintain the casino on Yagyu Road now. Why don't you hand it over to our Hanaki family? We'll help you take care of it. Don't even think about it. Yagyu Shinji was furious. He did not expect Hanaki Inuichiro to have such a big appetite that he even wanted to take over the Yagyu Road casino. This casino was one of the most profitable businesses of the Yagyu family. They would not hand it over in any case. Hanaki Inuichiro was not anxious. He continued to say with a smile, Master Yagyu, there is one thing you have to be clear about. Now you can't keep this casino at all with your current strength. It's better to hand it over to our Hanaki family. If you really want to fight, the consequences will be unbearable for your Yagyu family. Speaking of this, his face became cold, and his natural momentum suddenly burst out. The three superior ninjas behind him also pulled out their swords. It seemed that they would fight at any time. Yagyu Shinji was furious. He did not expect Hanaki Inuichiro to bully him directly. However, as the master of the family, he still had to think about the family. Now the strength of the Yagyu family was greatly damaged. In addition to him, a heavenly ninja, there were only 2 3-star superior ninjas left, which was a little worse than the Hanaki family. The middle ninjas and lower ninjas were much worse. If they really fought, it was likely that the Yagyu family would be destroyed. There was no other way. They had lost nearly half of their strength last time. Thinking of this, he could only hold back his anger and said, Hanaki, the casino on Yagyu Road is absolutely out of the question. We have several other casinos. We can consider giving you one. Hanaki Inuichiro sneered proudly and said, Yagyu Shinji, to tell you the truth, our Hanaki family is fully prepared tonight. If you hand over the casino, we'll live in peace. If you don't, there will be no Yagyu family in Neon. Yagyu Shinji was furious. Hanaki, don't go too far. If you really push our Yagyu family, you can't take advantage of it. Hanaki Inuichiro stood up and sneered. I'm going too far. What can you do about it? Who dares to be rude to our Yagyu family? Do you want to die? With a shout, the door opened with a bang, and a delicate figure with a huge momentum appeared in front of the door. Chapter 389. The people of the Hanaki family looked at the door together and saw a very beautiful woman standing in front of it. She had a good figure, but her pretty face was covered with frost. She was full of killing intent. It was Yagyu Yukaime. A woman dares to disrespect our Hanaki family. I'll show you how powerful our Hanaki family men are. It was Hanaki Naoki, a 3-star ninja behind Hanaki Inuichiro, who spoke. He had done some research before. Yagyu Yukaime had the highest cultivation after Yagyu Shinji, but she was only a 3-star ninja, not a heavenly ninja. This guy thought he was the first person under the heavenly ninja, so he didn't take Yagyu Yukaime seriously at all. He also intended to show Yagyu Shinji his power and let him see the power of the Hanaki family. So he directly pulled out his sword and rushed to Yagyu Yukaime. First cut. After a loud shout, the sword in Hanaki Naoki's hand flashed out. This cut was majestic and terrible. Yukaime, be careful. Yagyu Shinji's pupils shrank, but Hanaki Inuichiro was glaring at him, so he didn't dare to help. Hanaki Naoki's mouth was full of pride. In his opinion, his cut had reached the essence of first cut. As a woman, Yagyu Yukaime had no other way but to dodge. He even began to prepare the next move. You're courting death. But at this moment, Yagyu Yukaime's eyes flashed coldly, and the sword in her hand went straight to Hanaki Naoki. This move was so fast that Hanaki Naoki didn't see where the sword was. He only felt a flash of light in front of him, and then a heart-wrenching pain came from his chest. Then, like a punctured balloon, he lost all his strength in an instant. He couldn't even hold the sword in the air, and it fell to the ground with a clang. "You, heavenly ninja," Hanaki Naoki stared at Yagi Yukime with his eyes full of horror. He didn't expect that Yagi Yukime had entered the heavenly stage. Whether it was covert power or grandmaster, or Jonin and heavenly ninja, there was a huge gap between them. Once they crossed this gap, their strength would increase tenfold. Even a superior ninja, who was closest to a heavenly ninja, was vulnerable in front of a real heavenly ninja. If he had known that Yagi Yukime had reached the level of a heavenly ninja, not only would Hanaki Naoki not have taken action just now, but even the Hanaki family would not have dared to provoke her today, because the power of a heavenly ninja was definitely not something that a superior ninja could offend. But it was too late to regret now. Hanaki Naoki's chest had been cut open by Yagi Yukime. His eyes turned over and he could only die unwillingly. Yagi Yukime did not put away her sword. The tip of the sword was still dripping with red blood. Her cold eyes glanced around again. She said to Hanaki Inuichiro with a murderous look, "Anyone who offends the Yagyu family will die." Seeing Yagi Yukime kill Hanaki Naoki with one knife, Yagyu Shinji couldn't believe his eyes. He knew very well how difficult it was to cross the threshold from high-level ninja to heavenly ninja. This was also the reason why heavenly ninjas were extremely rare and honorable. He didn't expect his daughter to become a heavenly ninja. "Yukime, did you succeed? You deserve to be the pride of our Yagyu family." At this time, he was extremely excited and swept away his depression. It was rare for a family to have two heavenly ninjas in the whole Neon. At least the Hanaki family couldn't provoke this kind of strength. Yagi Yukime nodded and said, "Yes, father. Just now, I broke through and became a proud heavenly ninja." "Great, it's really great. Amaterasu, God bless our Yagyu family." Yagi Shinji looked back at Hanaki Inuichiro and said proudly, "Hanaki, do you still want my Yagyu family's casino now?" Hanaki Inuichiro was tense all over. In the face of two natural ninja masters, he didn't dare to relax at all. He didn't even dare to look at Hanaki Naoki, who was dead on one side. "Master of the Yagyu family, it's our Hanaki family's fault this time. We are willing to accept punishment." Compared with before, his attitude had changed 180 degrees. In Neon, everyone respected the strong, and strength was king. At this time, the Yagyu family already had two heavenly ninja masters, which was definitely not something that the Hanaki family could afford to provoke. Moreover, people under the eaves had to bow their heads. Although there were 3 of them now, he was the only heavenly ninja, and the other 2 were just superior ninjas. Even if they joined forces, they would not be able to survive more than 10 moves. At that time, not only would the 2 superior ninjas die, but he would also face the joint attack of Yagyu Shinji and Yagi Yukime. If Yagyu Shinji wanted to, he could leave all 3 of them here. If they died, the Hanaki family would soon be eroded by other forces, and nothing would be left. "You know what's good for you," Yagyu Shinji said proudly. "From now on, the Hanaki family's wharf in Diving Bay belongs to the Yagyu family. Do you have any problem with that?" The wharf in Diving Bay was extremely important to the Hanaki family. It could be said that it made a lot of money every day. It was an important source of income for the Hanaki family. Yagyu Shinji asking for the wharf was tantamount to cutting off a piece of meat from the Hanaki family. However, Hanaki Inuichiro could not object now. After all, losing a piece of meat was much better than losing his life. "No problem. From today on, the wharf in Diving Bay is the property of the Yagyu family." Hanaki Inuichiro could still make a prompt decision at a critical time. "You know what's good for you. Get out of here." Yagyu Shinji directly drove out several people from the Hanaki family. He was not worried that Hanaki Inuichiro would go back on his words, because strength determined everything. At the moment, the Yagyu family already had 2 heavenly ninjas, which was their greatest confidence. Several people from the Hanaki family bowed deeply to Yagyu Shinji and Yagyu Yukaim, and then fled from the Yagyu family in embarrassment. Yagyu Shinji looked back at Yagyu Yukaim and said excitedly, "Yukaim, good job. I didn't misjudge you." Recently, when the family's strength had been seriously damaged, he had indeed been under great pressure. But now it was all right. There was one more heavenly ninja in the family, which was enough to make up for the previous loss. On the contrary, it had been greatly improved. He believed that after the news was spread by the Hanaki family, no one would dare to make trouble for the Yagyu family. Yagyu Yukaim bowed her head and said, "Yukaim can have what she has today because of your good cultivation, father." Yagyu Shinji laughed and said, "Let's not talk about this. Now that you have entered the threshold of heavenly ninja, father is going to ask you to go to Huaxia." Yagyu Yukaim raised her head, and a trace of surprise appeared on her delicate face. "Father, didn't you say that we couldn't set foot in Huaxia in a short time?" Yagyu Shinji shook his head and said, "That was then, and this is now. At that time, you were just a superior ninja. The Yagyu family was surrounded by wolves, and the first thing you had to do was to ensure survival. Now it's different. With you and me, 2 heavenly ninjas, no one dares to provoke us." Yagyu Yukaim said, "Father is right. I will go to Huaxia tomorrow to avenge my brother." Yagyu Shinji said, "Your brother's revenge must be avenged, but it's not urgent. This time, I want you to go to Huaxia for another important task." Yagyu Yukaim asked, "Father, what do you want me to do?" Yagyu Shinji said, "Recently, the family's economic operation has not been very good. So many people died some time ago, and a large amount of money has been spent on pensions, which has made the family's economy even more strained. I want to organize an investigation team and ask you to lead the team to Huaxia." Yagyu Yukaim said, "Father, with all due respect, although the economy of Huaxia has been growing rapidly in recent years, distant water can't quench the immediate thirst. Even if we make a few deals, we can't quickly alleviate our current predicament. You're right, but asking you to talk about business is just a cover. It's not our real purpose." Yagyu Shinji said, "During your retreat, a Tangmen traditional Chinese medicine company appeared in Huaxia and produced a kind of traditional Chinese medicine called the blood revival elixir. This medicine can completely cure leukemia. If we can get the formula of this medicine, it will definitely be a profitable business. At that time, the family will never have to worry about money. Moreover, the boss behind Tangmen Company is our great enemy, Qin Haodong. You have 2 purposes this time. One is to get the formula of the blood revival elixir. If you can, kill Qin Haodong and avenge your brother. Before, I was a little hesitant to send you to Huaxia. Now that you have become a heavenly ninja, I think you can complete this task." Yagyu Yukaim said, "Yes, father. I won't let you down. You must remember that the 2 tasks are different. You must get the formula first, which is related to the lifeline of our Yagyu family in the future. After completing this task, if there is a chance, kill Qin Haodong." After a pause, Yagyu Shinji said, "Huaxia has always been a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Although you have become a heavenly ninja, you are not invincible in the world. You must be careful when you arrive in Huaxia. In order to ensure your safety, this time I am going to contact the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and ask them to set up an investigation group in the name of the official. You will be the leader, so that your identity will be protected. I think the Huaxia people will not mess around." Yagyu Yukaim said, "Father, is this necessary? I think with my current skills, I can complete the task you gave me." Yagyu Shinji said, "It's better to be careful. The first 2 failures were because we were too careless and underestimated the Huaxia people. This time, we must not repeat the same mistake. Our Yagyu family can no longer afford to fail, especially you. Now, you are very important to the Yagyu family. Even if the task fails, there can be no mistakes. You must come back safely." "I know, father. For the Yagyu family, this task will never fail." After that, Yagi Yukheim left directly. In Jiangnan City, after solving the serial murders, Qin Haodong's life was back on track. The next day, after breakfast, he and Lin Momo sent the little fellow to kindergarten and then went to work at Tang Men Company. He sat in the president's office all morning, tasting fragrant tea and watching Lin Momo work opposite him. His life was very comfortable. Near noon, Liu Yage walked in from the outside with a heavy look. "President, something happened." Lin Momo looked up and asked, "What's wrong, Sister Liu?" Liu Yage said, "This morning, I went to the wholesale market with the purchasing department to buy medicinal materials, but I found that the prices of all the medicinal materials we needed had increased by 2 or 3 times. If this is the case, not only will the cost of the blood revival elixir greatly increase, but it will also be more than 1,000 yuan to recover the cost. The great liver protecting elixir will also be greatly affected." Lin Momo's expression also changed as she asked, "How could this be?" "Recently, the medicinal materials market has been very stable. I heard that the place of origin has had a good harvest. How could the price rise?" Liu Yage said, "I don't know the details. The people in the wholesale market said that because the boss changed, the whole wholesale market has been bought by a neon company. The boss asked for a price increase." Chapter 390. Qin Haodong said, "Got it, Sister Liu. Just make sure that the medicinal materials are used on the same day. Leave the rest to us." Liu Yage nodded and turned to leave the office. Qin Haodong said, "I didn't expect that in just a few days, the purchase of medicinal materials would go wrong again. It seems that as a traditional Chinese medicine industry, we'd better control the wholesale market." Lin Momo said, "I also thought about that. After Wang Desheng made trouble last time, I also asked someone to do a capital budget. If we want to fully acquire the Chinese medicine wholesale market, we need at least 3 billion yuan. We are short of funds now, so we temporarily put it aside. I didn't expect it to be acquired so soon." Qin Haodong said, 3 billion yuan? It's really not a small amount. Although they now had 2 pharmaceutical factories producing, they had not yet reached the stage of profitability, so they were not very rich. Lin Momo frowned and said, "I don't know who acquired the medicinal materials market. Generally speaking, it's not appropriate to have large price fluctuations just after the acquisition. The other party suddenly increased the price of medicinal materials by so much. Was it impulsive or aimed at us? It's no use guessing. We'll know after asking." Qin Haodong took out his mobile phone and dialed Wang Rubing's number. The government must know about such a big acquisition. "Haodong, what's the matter?" Wang Rubing's voice was calm. It seemed that her mood had returned to normal. "How's Zhang Hao?" "Not bad, much better than yesterday, but he's still not in a good mood. No matter who encounters this kind of thing, he needs some time to digest it. He'll get better slowly." After talking about Zhang Hao, Qin Haodong asked, "Sister, I want to ask you something. I heard that a foreign company bought the Chinese medicine wholesale market. Do you know the situation?" Wang Rubing said, "I know this. The acquisition was completed yesterday. It was a major success of the investment promotion agency. I've already reported the specific situation." "What's the specific situation? Who is the outstanding party?" "It's Yagyu Corporation of Neon. They invested 3 billion yuan to buy the Chinese medicine market. I heard that they are going to further strengthen and expand it." Wang Rubing said, "This time, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Neon organized an investigation team to Jiangnan City. The leader is Yagi Yukheim. The investment promotion agency attaches great importance to it. I heard that there will be a reception at the Jiangnan Hotel tonight. According to the scale and influence of Tang Men Company, you should be able to receive an invitation. Don't you know about this?" "I just came back, so I don't know much about the situation." Qin Haodong said thoughtfully, "Yagyu Corporation, Yagi Yukheim. I didn't expect them to come so soon." Wang Rubing said, "What? Are you familiar with them?" Qin Haodong said, of course. Yagyu Hirai, who kidnapped you last time, is from Yagyu Corporation. I guess they came to Huaxia this time for more than just business. They must have another purpose. It's them. Haodong, are these people here for revenge? Hearing that it was the people who had kidnapped her, Wang Rubing immediately became nervous. Don't be so nervous. Since they came to Huaxia through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Neon, they shouldn't do anything too out of line, at least on the surface. After thinking about it, Qin Haodong added, but it's better to be careful. I'll arrange some people to protect you these days. Don't worry, if they're here for me, things will be settled quickly. Thinking of Yagyu Hirai and the others who had been killed by Qin Haodong last time, Wang Rubing said, Haodong, this time the Neon people came through the government. You must be careful. I know. Qin Haodong hung up the phone, turned around, and called Saber over. He asked him to arrange 2 capable members of Daddy's security company to protect Wang Rubing. After he finished the arrangement, Lin Momo asked, did you find out? What's going on? The Neon Yagyu family bought the Chinese herbal medicine wholesale market. Some time ago, I left nearly 100 masters of the Yagyu family in Huaxia. It can be said that they have a deep hatred for me. This time, they suddenly came to Huaxia, probably for me. Lin Momo said with a little nervousness, what should we do? The Yagyu family came to Huaxia not just to buy a Chinese herbal medicine wholesale market. They must have other purposes. Don't worry, let's wait and see. Qin Haodong said, I heard that the investment promotion agency held a reception for the Neon delegation. Did we receive an invitation? Lin Momo said, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. I did receive an invitation yesterday afternoon. I didn't plan to attend it, and I didn't take it to heart. After the incident with the father and son of the Wang family of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce, she had some resistance to such things as a reception, so she directly threw the invitation aside. As she spoke, she took an exquisitely made invitation from the desk and handed it to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong took it and looked at it. It was signed by the Investment Promotion Agency of Jiangnan City and the Yagyu Corporation. It was a reception jointly organized by the two. He put down the invitation and said to Lin Momo, get ready. We'll go together tonight. Are we really going? Of course we are. Otherwise, how can we find out the Yagyu family's trump card? We have to solve the problem of the Chinese herbal medicine wholesale market as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will face the pressure of increasing costs every day. Lin Momo nodded. That was indeed the case. At present, this problem must be solved. You go ahead. I have to make some preparations. After that, Qin Haodong turned around and went back to his room. Only by knowing oneself and the enemy could one win every battle. Before fighting, he had to fully understand the situation of the Yagyu family. He first dialed Qi Wan's number and asked her to help collect relevant information about the Yagyu family. Then, he called Hu Xiaoxian. Soon, Hu Xiaoxian's charming voice came over the phone. Little man, why did you call me? Is there something you need my help with? Qin Haodong said awkwardly, I want to ask you something. I knew you wouldn't think of me if there was nothing wrong, but it doesn't matter. You're my little man. Tell me, what do you want to ask? Qin Haodong briefly introduced Yagyu Yukaim's visit to Huaxia and then said, I want to know the purpose of the Yagyu family's visit to Huaxia this time and other information about the Yagyu family. Hu Xiaoxian said, after the last battle, I paid special attention to the Yagyu family and collected a lot of relevant information. Last time, nearly 100 masters of the Yagyu family were killed, especially the great elder, Yagyu Ken. This greatly damaged the strength of the Yagyu family. In order to prevent being swallowed by other families, they have been in a state of defense. Moreover, the financial situation of the Yagyu family has not been very good recently. This time, they came to Huaxia. I guess they want to solve this problem, but I don't know what they want to do. She talked endlessly and told Qin Haodong all the information she knew. After listening, Qin Haodong asked again, how much do you know about Yagi Yukime? Hu Shaoxian said, Yagi Yukime is very famous in Neon. She was once known as the most promising genius and beautiful girl. At the age of 16, she entered the ranks of the Yagyu-ken family's 3-star superior ninja, which is equivalent to the 9th level of covert power in Huaxia. After she became an adult, she received the nickname of the double-faced enchantress. This woman is sometimes cold, like an iceberg, and sometimes passionate, like a flame. It's hard to understand her character, so she is called double-faced. The Xianyuan Pavilion's file on her has a total of 16 words. She is as beautiful as a flower, as vicious as a scorpion, with a changeable character and superb skills. The double-faced enchantress? That's really interesting. A playful smile appeared at the corner of Qin Haodong's mouth. Little man, don't tell me that you have a crooked mind because you heard that she is beautiful. Let me tell you, Yagi Yukime is not an ordinary woman. It's not for nothing that she has a vicious heart. She once kicked 5 men's balls and cut off 7 men's penises. When you see her, you have to keep a close eye on your own treasure. Qin Haodong couldn't help but say, don't worry. This kind of woman, even if she is naked in front of me, I won't look at her. Don't be so confident. Wait until you see Yagi Yukime. That woman is really beautiful. Maybe she will take your soul away. After Hu Shaoxian finished speaking, she giggled and hung up the phone. At this time, the information that Qi Weiner had inquired about was also sent from the computer. Qin Haodong took a brief look and found that it was not much different from what Hu Shaoxian had said. However, the list of the Neon delegation this time surprised him a little. Except for Yagi Yukime, they were all ordinary people. There was no warrior, so he couldn't understand the intention of the Yagyu family for a while. Yagi Yukime, a master who was half a step to the supreme power realm, was enough to attract Qin Haodong's attention. After collecting the information, he saw that there was still some time before the banquet, so he took out the elixir furnace and refined 2 furnaces of elixirs. When he walked out of the office again, it was almost evening. Lin Momo had changed into a black vacuum evening dress. Her head was decorated with beautiful headdress, which made her look more retro. The design of the dress was very strong, sexy, and not vulgar. Her delicate facial features exuded charming charm, which made Qin Haodong's eyes light up. He opened his arms and said with a smile, Mom, you are so beautiful. Come and give me a kiss. Lin Momo pushed Qin Haodong away and pointed to a set of clothes hanging next to her. Stop it. Hurry up and change your clothes. It's almost time. Do I also need to change? Of course, you have to dress formally to attend this kind of banquet. All right then. Qin Haodong said as he began to change his clothes. For men, there would not be any change in clothes for this kind of business party. A simple white shirt with a black dress and a black bow tie. However, Qin Haodong was originally handsome, plus his almost perfect figure. Such a set of clothes was worn by him with a different temperament. After changing clothes, he said to Lin Momo, how about it? Can you seduce a rich woman? Lin Momo rolled her eyes at him and said, you still want to seduce her? Do you think you don't have enough women now? Let's go. It's too late. Qin Haodong quickly took Lin Momo's hand and walked outside together. Yagyu Corporation came to Huaxia and was warmly received by the Jiangnan Investment Promotion Bureau. Tonight, a special business banquet was held, inviting many entrepreneurs in Jiangnan to attend, in order to enhance friendly exchanges between the two sides and increase opportunities for joint ventures and cooperation. The banquet was scheduled to start at 7 p.m., and the venue was chosen as the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel. What was different from the past was that the venue of the banquet was set in the hotel's garden, where the grass was green, the birds were singing, and the flowers were fragrant. Coupled with the beautiful lights, it made people feel more comfortable than the banquet held indoors. As the protagonist of this banquet, the members of Yagyu Corporation had arrived early. Among the crowd, a tall figure with charming curves was extremely eye-catching. It was the double-faced beauty, Yagi Yukime. Chapter 391. Tonight, Yagi Yukime was wearing a red evening dress. The neckline was very low, which made people look like mountains and deep ravines. Coupled with her high bun, white and slender neck, and concave curves, she immediately attracted the attention of all the men present. However, her expression looked extremely cold. Even her eyes gave people a bone-piercing chill. It was as if she was an ice beauty carved out of ice. She looked very beautiful, but it made people flinch. Many men who thought they were successful people wanted to talk to her, but they were scared away by her cold expression. At this time, a young man in a famous brand suit came from afar. He had an arrogant expression on his face and was followed by several fierce-looking bodyguards. It was Wang Daji from the Wang family. After Wang Deshang's death, he had become the only heir of the Wang family. After Wang Hating had suffered the pain of losing his son, he had become a little dispirited and haggard. He had begun to hand over the family business to Wang Daji, which made him more satisfied. Tonight, Wang Hating had originally been invited, but he was no longer interested in this kind of banquet, so he had asked Wang Daji to attend on his behalf. As the heir of the Wang Group and the son of the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce, Wang Daji was flattered everywhere he went. After entering the door, Wang Daji saw Yagi Yukime in the crowd at a glance. His eyes suddenly lit up. He had seen Yagi Yukime's photos before. He hadn't expected that she was 10 times more beautiful and sexier than the photos. This almost made him drool. Except for the few women around Qin Haodong, he had never seen such a beautiful woman. He didn't dare to provoke Qin Haodong now, but he didn't care about a Japanese woman. In his opinion, Yagi Yukime was just an ordinary woman who had come to Huaxia to seek business opportunities. He was the son of the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce and the heir of the Wang Group. If she wanted to make money in Jiangnan, she had to win his favor. Thinking of this, he became more confident. He took a glass of red wine from the waiter next to him and walked straight to Yagi Yukime. "Miss Yukime, welcome to Huaxia." Then, he raised the glass in his hand and said, "Miss Yukime, can I invite you to have a drink?" There was still no expression on Yagi Yukime's cold face. She picked up the wine glass in her hand and took a sip. The combination of the scarlet wine and her delicate red lips gave people a breathtaking beauty. After drinking, Yagi Yukime turned around and asked in a cold voice, "Who are you?" "Miss Yagyu, let me introduce myself. I'm Wang Daji, the heir of the Wang Group. My father is Wang Hating, the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce. Since you've come to Jiangnan, I'm sure we'll have a lot of cooperation in the future. Don't worry, as long as you cooperate with our Wang Group in Jiangnan, it will be very easy to make money." In Wang Daji's opinion, the reason why Yagi Yukime's attitude was so cold was that she didn't know who he was. As long as he told her his identity, this woman would definitely come forward to please him immediately. She might even throw herself into his arms. However, the truth was the opposite of what he thought. The expression on Yagi Yukime's face was still frozen. There was no sign of it melting. She said coldly, "I'm not interested. If you want to cooperate, go talk to our deputy leader, Miyashiro Yoshida." Wang Daji's face had just bloomed with a smile, but now it was as if he had been frozen. He hadn't expected this Japanese woman to not give him face. "Miss Yukime, I don't know if you heard it clearly, but my father is the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce. I'm the heir of the Wang Group." Before he could finish his words, Yagi Yukime's cold face finally changed. After a flash of disgust, she turned around and stopped looking at him. As a heavenly ninja, she had her own pride. Wang Deshang's arrogance and obscenity in his eyes made her extremely uncomfortable. This was only in Huaxia. If she had been in Japan, she would have cut off this guy's penis and made it into slices. Wang Deshang didn't know this. His conversation had attracted the attention of other people around him. Seeing that he had been defeated in front of Yagi Yukime, some people began to rejoice, some people began to sneer, and some people whispered. The crowd's ridicule made Wang Deshang lose face. Facing Yagi Yukime's back, his eyes were so angry that they were about to spit fire. Yagi Yukime, wait and see. I won't let you do any business in Jiangnan. After saying this, Wang Desheng angrily retreated to the side. He held a glass of wine and drank gloomily. Yagi Yukime didn't even have the interest to look at him from beginning to end. Seeing that the son of the president of the Chamber of Commerce, the young master of the Wang family, couldn't get a good result in front of this woman, the others immediately lost the idea of talking to her. No one went to ask for trouble. Qin Haodong and Lin Momo arrived at the dreamy Jiangnan. For the sake of safety, he had brought all the members of the divine mercenaries. After getting out of the car, he took Lin Momo to the venue. It was impossible for a super good-looking group like them to keep a low profile. As soon as they appeared, they attracted a lot of attention. After handing in the invitation letter, the waiter led the two of them to the banquet site. After they appeared at the banquet, they immediately attracted the attention of the people around them. Originally, there was only one Yagi Yukime, who was shining, but she gave people a feeling that strangers were not close to her. Now, there was another Lin Momo. In terms of appearance, temperament, and figure, she was not inferior to Yagi Yukime at all. Moreover, Lin Momo had already taken off her cold shell. She stood there like a lily with an elegant temperament. It was because Lin Momo was too beautiful and outstanding that people ignored Qin Haodong, who was next to her. After entering the venue, Qin Haodong immediately found Yagi Yukime standing in the distance. His pupils shrank. A supreme power expert. Before coming, he had paid enough attention to this woman, who was known as the two-faced enchantress, but he didn't expect that it was far from enough. Yagi Yukime had reached the supreme power realm, which was a big level higher than him. She deserved to be the martial arts genius of the Yagyu family. This discovery immediately made his expression become dignified. Fortunately, today was an official banquet. No matter how high Yagi Yukime's cultivation was, she would not easily make trouble. After stabilizing his mind, he looked at Yagi Yukime again and felt the coldness of this woman. She was different from Lin Momo before. Lin Momo's coldness was fake. It was just a cold shell. However, Yagi Yukime's coldness came from the inside out, from the bones. As if feeling Qin Haodong's gaze, Yagi Yukime slowly turned around. The moment she saw Qin Haodong, a scene that shocked everyone happened. Her face, which seemed to be carved out of ice for thousands of years, melted in an instant and was full of a charming smile. With this smile, it seemed that the temperature of the entire banquet site had risen a bit, giving everyone a feeling of being bathed in the spring breeze. What was going on? No one had expected that this ice beauty would smile, and her smile was so bright and charming. The most important thing was that the young master of the Wang family didn't get any color from her just now, but now she was smiling like a flower. Why was that? Who had such a great ability to make such a big change in the ice beauty? Just when everyone was confused, Yagi Yukime walked over. Her charming smile and red evening dress added a bit of sexiness. In addition, the majestic mountain trembled up and down as she walked, which attracted the attention of countless people. Qin Haodong also felt the huge change in Yagi Yukime. It seemed that the nickname of the two-faced beauty was not in vain. On one side, there was an iceberg, and on the other side, there was a flame. He suspected that this woman had a dual personality. The acting skills of a movie king were just so. Moreover, it seemed that this woman was aiming at him and Lin Momo. Sure enough, Yagi Yukime went straight to them. She first smiled at Lin Momo and said, "I'm Yagi Yukime from the Japanese Yagyu family. President Lin, you're very beautiful. You're so beautiful that I'm a little jealous. Miss Yukime, you're too polite. You're more beautiful." Lin Momo didn't know Yagi Yukime's intention, so she just replied politely. "President Lin, I want to dance with Mr. Qin. Can I?" Yagi Yukime said as she turned to look at Qin Haodong. The smile on her face became more and more charming. Lin Momo didn't expect her to make such a request. Out of politeness, she smiled and said, "As long as he's willing, I have no problem. Yagi Yukime said to Qin Haodong, Mr. Qin, would you like to dance with me? It's my honor to dance with Miss Yukime. Qin Haodong said as he reached out to Yagi Yukime and made a gesture of invitation. At the same time, he quietly said to Saber next to him, she's a supreme power expert. Take Lin Momo away from here. Although Yagi Yukime's attitude was very good after seeing him, the more she acted like this, the more he felt that this woman was dangerous. It was definitely not a good thing for Lin Momo to stay here. If Yagi Yukime really made trouble, he could not stop her, let alone Saber and the others. The best way now was to go as far as possible. Therefore, he took Yagi Yukime to the lawn next to them to dance and asked Saber to take Lin Momo away. After receiving the order, Saber's expression changed. He was very clear about the horror of a supreme power expert, so he immediately said a few words in Lin Momo's ear. Lin Momo smiled apologetically at the people next to her who were ready to come over to talk to her and said, I'm sorry, there's something urgent in the company. I need to go back to deal with it. I'm sorry. After that, she hurriedly left the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel under the protection of Saber and the others, leaving the people opposite her with a puzzled look. They didn't understand why she had just arrived here and left again. However, soon these people's faces showed a clear expression. It must be that Lin Momo was jealous when she saw Qin Haodong dancing with that neon woman, so she left angrily. However, it was no wonder that neon woman didn't smile. Once she smiled, she was like a seductive demon. That gigolo was likely to be eaten by her. It was normal for Lin Momo to be jealous. Yagi Yukime gracefully followed Qin Haodong to the lawn, where there were already several couples dancing. She glanced in the direction that Lin Momo had left and said to Qin Haodong, your girlfriend seems to be jealous. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. Of course, he would not tell Yagi Yukime that he had already seen through her strength. Women sometimes have a very small temper. Besides, you're so beautiful, it's normal for her to be jealous. Yagi Yukime said with a smile, this is completely different from neon. Our neon women will not be jealous. Qin Haodong looked at her charming and lovely face and laughed in his heart. You won't be jealous, but you can directly cut off the other party's penis. Miss Yukime, if I remember correctly, this is the first time we've met. How do you know me? Because your photo is hanging in my father's room. He slashes you a few times every day, so I naturally recognize you. After that, Yagi Yukime smiled charmingly again, but her smile was full of coldness. Chapter 392. Seeing Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukime hugging each other tightly and dancing, Wang Daji gritted his teeth and punched the table hard. He scolded bitterly, this bitch. She was like an ice cube when she saw me. I thought she was a chaste woman. Who knew that she would show her true colors when she saw that gigolo? She acted as if she had never seen a man before. I'm so angry. Sooner or later, I'll get you in bed. I'll play you to death. At this time, he was in the corner, and everyone's eyes were focused on Yagi Yukime, so no one noticed his dissatisfaction. Young master, in fact, you don't have to be angry with this kind of woman. The person who spoke was a bodyguard beside him. His name was Zhao San, and he was also an old member of the Wang family. After Wang Deshang's death, Wang Haiding had specially sent him to Wang Daji's side. Wang Daji said angrily, it's so annoying. I'm the heir of the Wang family, and my father is the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce. This neon woman doesn't know what's good for her and seduces that gigolo. Li San said with a smirk, young master, there's no need to be angry about this. Isn't it just a neon woman? It's very easy to get her into bed. Wang Daji turned to look at him and asked, do you have a way? Li San looked around and saw that no one was paying attention. He took out a small glass bottle from his pocket, which contained a transparent potion. He said in a low voice, young master, this is the first thing my friend got from abroad. I heard that it's a high-tech product. Even if an elephant drinks it, it will immediately become estrus. Young master, you can do whatever you want. Wang Daji's eyes lit up and he said, is this thing that effective? Li San said with a smirk, don't worry, young master. I've tried it. The effect is very good. There was a female singer in a bar some time ago. She used to be so arrogant when she saw me. Since she used this thing, she is now a little sheep when she sees me. Great. Wang Daji then said, but how do I use this thing? There are too many people here. I'm afraid I can't. Li San said, young master, it's very simple. The new manager of Dreamy Jiangnan is my uncle. Wait a minute. I'll find out which room this woman lives in and then put this thing in her water dispenser. She will definitely drink water when she goes back. Then, young master's chance will come. Will this work? She's the leader of the Neon delegation. It'll be troublesome if something goes wrong. Li Saner is lewd. He smiled and said, young master, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you sleep with a woman, it'll be like a different person. Just like that female singer of mine. She was a tiger before, but now she's a sheep. And I've long heard that Japanese women are even more like this. Once you get them into bed, they're no different from those in the porn. Wang Daji thought about it and agreed. He said playfully, Miss Yagyu's hand is so smooth. It feels good. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Yagyu Yukaim's smile was still charming, but her voice was cold. I'm not afraid. Qin Haodong said with a smile, although the people of your Yagyu family hate me to the bone, if you want to kill me, you won't choose this place. After all, this is a gathering organized by the Huaxia officials. I can be sure that at least you won't do anything to me now. After listening to him, Yagyu Yukaim's expression froze for a moment. Then, she smiled charmingly. Yes, you're very smart. I like smart men. I also like women with big breasts and big buttocks like you. Qin Haodong smiled wickedly. Then, he put his arm around Yagyu Yukaim's slender waist and pulled her into his arms. Feeling the two peaks on her chest tightly squeezed together with Qin Haodong's solid chest, the smile on Yagyu Yukaim's face disappeared. Then, she said with a murderous look, do you believe that I'll kill you now? Of course I don't believe it. If you wanted to kill me, you didn't have to go through so much trouble. Why did you need to use 3 billion yuan to buy the wholesale market of medicinal materials? Even if the Yagyu family has a lot of money, they shouldn't spend it like this. Moreover, the Yagyu family doesn't seem to have much money now. What do you think? Am I right, Miss Yukaim? I guess you must have other purposes for coming to Huaxia. You won't do anything to me before you achieve your purpose, right? After that, he ignored Yagyu Yukaim's murderous eyes. His big hand slid down again and directly blocked the plump area below her waist. Yagyu Yukaim's body trembled slightly. This place had never been touched by anyone. At this time, it was unscrupulously occupied by this abominable Huaxia man in front of her. After the two of them looked at each other for a full minute, Yagyu Yukaim smiled charmingly again. It seems that you know a lot about our Yagyu family. I don't know how much you know about me. Aren't you afraid that I'll kick your balls now? Qin Haodong said with a smile, I know. You're a two-faced beauty, a perverted woman with a split personality. Your cultivation is very high, and you like to kick other people's balls. But you don't seem to be worried about this place. As Yagyu Yukaim spoke, she exerted force with her lower abdomen and pushed forward. Of course I'm not worried, because I know you're an ambitious woman. You won't do anything to me before completing the task. But what if I complete the task? I'll cut you into 8 pieces and feed you to the dogs. When she said this, Yagyu Yukaim gritted her teeth. Her voice was extremely cold because she felt that the strength of Qin Haodong's hands was getting stronger and stronger, as if they were going to be embedded in her flesh. We'll talk about the future in the future. You're a bastard who doesn't take advantage of others. Even if I behave well with you now, you'll still kill me later. After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he hugged her tighter. The distance between them was so close that they could hear each other's breathing. Are you trying to provoke me? Yagi Yukheim seemed to have sensed Qin Haodong's purpose. She smiled like a flower again and said, I didn't expect that the dignified medical sage is just a little hooligan who likes to take advantage of women. Medical sage is just a nickname. In the end, I'm still a man, a very normal man. Naturally, I like to take advantage of a great beauty like you. Yagi Yukheim giggled and said, but don't forget, when you take advantage of me, I'm also taking advantage of you. We don't lose out. As she spoke, she put her hands around Qin Haodong's neck. She even pouted her delicate red lips and gave Qin Haodong a flying kiss. It's so boring to pretend. If you want to do it, let's do it for real. After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he suddenly hugged Yagi Yukheim's neck and kissed her hard. Yagi Yukheim's body suddenly froze. No matter whether she was a heaven-level ninja or not, she was still a woman. She had never been in such close contact with the opposite sex, let alone been kissed like this. She was completely lost for a moment and even lost her ability to think. Although the two of them had come behind a big tree under Qin Haodong's intentional guidance, they were still in the sight of others. They could still see what they were doing behind the tree. This bitch. Seeing that the two of them were getting closer and closer and even kissing each other, Zhang Daji was so angry that his eyes were on fire. He felt like he had been cheated on. He wanted to immediately strip Yagi Yukheim and throw her on the bed to vent his anger. Unfortunately, he couldn't do anything now. He could only wait there quietly. Gao Feng saw everything in front of him and said with a smile, Mr. Miyashiro, young people are always so energetic. It seems that our relationship will go further. Miyashiro Yoshida was also a little surprised. Although Yagi Yukheim was as beautiful as a flower and looked extremely sexy, she was famous in Neon for not getting close to men. Some people even privately said that she was a homosexual. However, for some reason, she seemed to have an indescribable affection for this man from Huaxia today. She was even a little too intimate, which was not in line with common sense. He now felt that his brain was not enough to process it. Was this the legendary love at first sight, or was Yagi Yukheim's hormones suddenly erupting? After a while, Yagi Yukheim regained her senses, and then a burst of anger rose from the bottom of her heart. This Huaxia man was too much. He dared to kiss her in public and take advantage of her unscrupulously. She decided to kill Qin Haodong at all costs. Thinking of this, she raised her palm and slapped the back of Qin Haodong's head. Chapter 393. Yagi Yukheim's palm was full of strength and she was determined to kill him. But then she was surprised to find that the palm, which could have broken a stone tablet, became weak. It had no lethality when it hit the back of Qin Haodong's head. In the end, it was as if she was hugging Qin Haodong's neck. But in the eyes of others, she turned from passive to active and kissed Qin Haodong passionately. After a short period of sluggishness, Yagi Yukheim pushed Qin Haodong away and asked in horror, "What did you do to me?" Qin Haodong licked his lips and said playfully, "How is it? It tastes good, doesn't it?" Yagi Yukheim gathered her internal force again, but there was still no reaction. Now she had lost the surging internal force of a heavenly ninja and became no different from ordinary people. She had just entered the supreme power realm, but now she suddenly became an ordinary person, which made her extremely frightened. She shouted again, "Tell me, what did you do to me?" Qin Haodong said, "You have a face like a peach blossom and a heart like a scorpion. You have a changeable temperament and superb skills. Someone said this to me about Miss Yukheim. How could I not be fully prepared in the face of a supreme power realm expert like you? You can only blame yourself. Why did you buy the Chinese medicine wholesale market in advance? In our Huaxia language, this is called beating the grass to scare the snake." At this time, Yagi Yukheim still seemed to be snuggling in Qin Haodong's arms. She wanted to push Qin Haodong away, but she couldn't do it without internal force. On the contrary, she was hugged tighter and tighter. "Tell me quickly, Where is my internal force? Where is my cultivation? What did you do to me? At this time, Yagi Yukime couldn't listen to anything else. She just wanted to know how her internal force disappeared and whether it could be recovered. Don't worry, listen to me slowly. Qin Haodong's face showed a smile that could fascinate all women. He said, I'm a doctor. Although I have my own unique means, when I kissed you just now, I put something called cultivation dissipation powder into your mouth, so that's what it is now. How about it? It tastes good, doesn't it? I just refined it for you this afternoon. After learning about Yagi Yukime's cultivation, Qin Haodong did make some preparations in the afternoon and refined the cultivation dissipation powder. He was worried that he could not find a chance to poison her, but Yagi Yukime came to him herself. Kissing the Japanese woman just now was fake. His real purpose was to give her the cultivation dissipation powder. Despicable. You Chinese are too despicable. Yagi Yukime was extremely angry. She waved her small fists and kept hitting Qin Haodong's chest. In the eyes of others, this was a flirtation after a passionate kiss. If you want to talk about despicable, it's your Yagyu family that was despicable first. You sent 100 masters to sneak attack me and kidnapped my sister. Now you've been sent here to stir up trouble. Qin Haodong patted her smooth back and said, Miss Yukime, although you are extremely talented in martial arts, it must not be easy to reach the level of heaven ninja. What you should consider now is how to restore your cultivation, not quarrel with me. My cultivation can be restored? Yagi Yukime's emotions slowly calmed down. She looked at Qin Haodong and said, Don't forget, this is a party held by the Chinese government. You poisoned me here. Aren't you afraid that I'll report you now? Qin Haodong smiled and said, Miss Yukime, you underestimate my medical skills. No matter which hospital you go to now, the results of the examination are very healthy. How can you say that I poisoned you? As for genuine qi, I'm afraid no hospital can test it. Yagi Yukime stared at Qin Haodong fiercely. There was monstrous anger in her eyes, but she couldn't kill people with her eyes. After a while, she sighed and said, Tell me, how can I restore my cultivation? Tell me your conditions. Yes, this is the right attitude to talk about things. Qin Haodong said with a smile, We should have a good talk now, but this is not the place to talk. Where do you live, Miss Yukime? We can go to your room and have a good talk. The two of them had been hugging each other for a while. The dance music had been changed 3 times. If this went on, it would definitely arouse other people's suspicion, so Qin Haodong proposed to go to Yagi Yukime's room. At this time, Yagi Yukime had no other choice. Nothing was more important than restoring her cultivation. She said, in room 805 of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel. Okay, now we should move on to the next step of in-depth communication. Qin Haodong smiled at her playfully, then put his arms around her slender waist. The two of them were tightly pressed together as they walked to the guest room of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel together. This is crazy. What's going on? They just danced twice, and then they went to roll? Sheets. Everyone present was shocked as they looked at the backs of the two of them. Then, they showed different expressions. Some were shocked, some were jealous, and some were envious. They could roll with a super beauty like Yagi Yukime. Sheets, this is the dream of countless men. Wang Daji was so angry that he was about to go crazy. This was the woman he liked. How could she be taken away by that toy boy? And this time, he was more direct. He went directly to the hotel to open a room. In the room, Miyashiro Yoshida, the deputy head, was also very shocked by Yagi Yukime's unusually open behavior. However, instead of persuading her, he added fuel to the fire and helped her. Although he was the deputy head, his status could not be compared with Yagi Yukime's. She was the eldest princess of the Yagyu family and the daughter of Yagi Shinji. She could do whatever she wanted, but he had to do a good job of cleaning up after her. Otherwise, once the scandal was exposed, he might not be able to bear the consequences. As he thought of this, he called a bodyguard next to him and ordered, "Pass down my order. Don't tell anyone about Miss Yukaim's matter. Furthermore, Miss Yukaim will no longer participate in our expedition team's activities from now on." After a series of orders were issued, Miyashiro Yoshida directly created an opportunity for Yagi Yukaim and Chin Haodong to date. If Yagi Yukaim knew that her deputy was so good at it, it was unknown how she would feel. Gao Feng said with a smile, "Young people are really impatient. They are developing too fast. However, this is also a good thing. It has a very good role in promoting the friendship between our country and Neon." As the person in charge of the banquet, he was very happy to see Chin Haodong and Yagi Yukaim do this kind of thing that was beyond friendship. At the same time, he admired and envied Chin Haodong's way of picking up girls. His efficiency was too high. Chin Haodong and Yagi Yukaim entered the hotel together. They left so openly. In the eyes of others, the two of them were glued to each other and had deep feelings for each other. Along the way, Yagi Yukaim calmly accepted other people's gazes. There was even a charming smile on her face. She had no other choice now. In order to restore her cultivation, she could only listen to Chin Haodong's arrangements. She had thought that with her heaven ninja cultivation, she could do whatever she wanted in Jiangnan City. She did not expect that as soon as she saw this man, her biggest advantage would disappear. She had turned from a master to an ordinary person. "Miss Yukaim, why do I feel that you are a little unconvinced?" As Chin Haodong walked, he reached out his hand and pinched her waist. Yagi Yukaim's body trembled slightly. After losing the genuine qi to protect her body seemed to have suddenly become a lot more sensitive. Chin Haodong's casual movement made her feel like she had been electrocuted. Then, she became more and more soft and powerless. Her whole body was hanging on Chin Haodong's body. "This time, I was not prepared. If it happens again, I will kill you directly when we meet." Yagi Yukaim was still smiling like a flower, but her tone was full of monstrous killing intent. The more strange her body felt, the more humiliated and angry her heart was. She wanted to tear the man in front of her to pieces. Chin Haodong did not care. No matter how fierce this woman was, the initiative was firmly in his hands. He said with a smile, "Girl, if I were you, I wouldn't say that. What if I don't give you the antidote?" As he spoke, he slapped Yagi Yukaim's buttocks twice. It was an unintentional move, but Yagi Yukaim felt as if she had been electrocuted. She immediately became soft and her whole body lay on his body. This time, Chin Haodong noticed her strangeness. He shouted in surprise, "Big sister, how long has it been since you touched a man? You became like this with just a few pats." Yagi Yukaim simply closed her eyes and stopped talking. In fact, she did not have any strength to quarrel with Chin Haodong. Chin Haodong smiled playfully. He did not expect this neon heavenly ninja to be so sensitive. He carried her and continued to walk quickly. Soon, they arrived at room 805. After entering the room, he raised his hand and directly threw Yagi Yukaim onto the big bed in the room. At this time, Yagi Yukaim was still weak. She did not even have the strength to sit up straight. She was half lying on the bed, revealing a large part of the scenery inside her collar. Coupled with her flushed cheeks, she looked extremely attractive. Chin Haodong glanced at her and said with a smile, "Big sister, are you trying to seduce me? Let me tell you, I have a strong willpower. For a neon woman like you, I won't have any thoughts even if you take off all your clothes." Yagi Yukaim looked at him with grief, indignation, humiliation, and hatred. This guy had obviously taken advantage of her along the way, but now it seemed that she had taken advantage of him. In Neon, she was definitely a goddess-like figure. She was usually high and mighty. Any man who provoked her would be kicked in the balls. She had never thought that one day she would fall into such a situation and be humiliated by the Huaxia man in front of her. If she was given a knife now, she would not hesitate to stab it into Chin Haodong's heart. "Well, don't look at me like that. I don't want to spend too much time with a woman like you. Let's hurry up and talk about the things between us. Qin Haodong looked at Yagi Yukaim's lazy and weak appearance. He turned around and took a glass of water from the water dispenser. He handed it over and said, "Drink a glass of water first. You'll feel refreshed, and then we'll have a good talk." After that, he also felt a little thirsty, so he also took a glass of water and drank it. Yagi Yukaim also wanted to recover her strength as soon as possible. After such a long time, she was really thirsty. She took the glass of water and drank it. It had to be said that the potion that Li San got was indeed colorless and tasteless. Neither of them noticed the difference in the water. After Yagi Yukaim finished drinking, she gave the glass in her hand to Qin Haodong again, but she did not say anything. "Big sister, what do you mean? You didn't drink enough? Give me another glass." The glass of water just now made her feel much better, so she wanted to drink more to boost her spirit. "If you want to drink water, can't you get it yourself? Do you really think I'm your servant?" Although Qin Haodong said that, in order to save time, he turned around and took another glass of water and handed it to Yagi Yukaim. Chapter 394. Yagi Yukaim once again drank up the water in the cup. However, she felt that the cup was too small. It was not enough to drink one cup at a time. She simply kicked off her high heels, went to the water dispenser barefoot, and began to get water for herself. Compared with other neon women, Yagi Yukaim was much taller. Even barefoot, she could reach more than 170 meters. What was more rare was that her figure was extremely hot. When she lowered her head to get water, her graceful curves were clearly shown. From Qin Haodong's angle, he could clearly see the scenery inside Yagi Yukaim's neckline. This woman was really hot. As he sighed, he felt a little thirsty. He took another glass of water and drank it. In this way, the two of them surrounded the water dispenser. Yagi Yukaim drank 4 glasses of water in a row. Then, she felt much better. Qin Haodong also drank 2 glasses. Putting down the cup in her hand, Yagi Yukaim sat on the bed again. She looked at Qin Haodong and said, "Okay, now we can talk. Tell me, how can you give me the antidote for the cultivation dissipation powder? Don't rush to talk about this." Qin Haodong pulled a chair and sat on it. He said, "First, tell me the purpose of your visit to Huaxia. That way, you can show your sincerity." Yagi Yukaim said, "We are a delegation. Naturally, we came to Huaxia to talk about business." "Miss Yukaim, if that's the case, there is no need for us to talk anymore. In the future, you should be an honest businessman and come to Huaxia to talk about business." As Qin Haodong spoke, he stood up and was about to leave the room. "Wait a minute." Yagi Yukaim hurriedly stopped him. As a once powerful heaven ninja, she couldn't stand the weakness at that time. She didn't even want to stay for a minute. "Well, I'll tell you everything. The main purpose of my visit to Huaxia this time is to get the formula of the blood revival elixir from your hands." "That's good. The teacher should have told you that honesty is the virtue of every one of us." As Qin Haodong spoke, he stretched out his hand and patted Yagi Yukaim's delicate cheek. It was just a casual action, but for some reason, when his fingers touched Yagi Yukaim's smooth skin, there was a trace of heat in his heart. Yagi Yukaim was the same. Her cheek was not her sensitive area, but after being touched by Qin Haodong, she felt unusually hot, as if something was about to erupt from the bottom of her heart. This feeling made her let out a soul-stirring moan. She forcefully suppressed the impulse in her heart and shouted, "You! Don't touch me! What are you doing? It's as if I've taken advantage of you. I've said it before, a foreign woman like you, even if you strip naked, I won't look at you." Qin Haodong sat back in his chair and said, "Why did you spend so much money to buy the wholesale market of traditional Chinese medicine? They want to force you to attend today's banquet, and then find a chance to get your formula." Although they were talking about business, Yagi Yukaim's voice became more and more charming, as if she was talking to her lover. she didn't even realize it. Listening to her voice and looking at her charming expression, Qin Haodong's heart suddenly surged with fire. He quickly turned his head and took another glass of water. It's already evening, but the weather is still so hot. After that, he drank all the water in the glass, as if he wanted to use the water to extinguish the rising fire in his heart. Yagi Yukheim felt the same. She felt that she was also getting hotter and hotter. She even had an impulse to take off her clothes immediately. She quickly jumped to the water dispenser, took a large glass of water and drank it. Before she knew it, she had drunk 5 glasses of water, and Qin Haodong had drunk as many as 3. The potion that Li San got was specially developed by a foreign company. Love potion. Originally, the potion was very strong. 1 bottle was enough. However, Li Saner had put in 3 bottles in order to get the 10 million yuan reward. When Yagi Yukheim drank the 5th glass of water, the effect of the medicine immediately came into play. After drinking so many glasses of water, not only did it not quench her thirst, but it also made her feel as if there was a raging fire in her lower abdomen. Although she was 20 years old this year, she had never been in contact with any man. Today, she was hugged and kissed by Qin Haodong, and then she was teased a few times in succession. Her mature body was already in a very sensitive state, and this sensitivity was strongly stimulated by Li San. Love naturally, the potion was like a mountain torrent that had no resistance. Qin Haodong felt her strangeness and said, "What's wrong with you? Is it too hot? If it's hot, go take a cold shower first." As he spoke, he also felt the heat getting hotter. He casually unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his strong muscles. Qin Haodong was not to be blamed for his slow reaction. He was now immune to all poisons, so he did not care about being poisoned at all. However, he forgot that this kind of stimulation of the potion was not poison, but it maximized the natural instinct of people. In this case, even if he was immune to all poisons, it was useless. His body had already reacted instinctively. When Yagi Yukheim's eyes came into contact with Qin Haodong's solid muscles, it was as if she had encountered a huge suction. She could no longer look away, and her breathing became more and more rapid. The most primitive desire burst out from the depths of her soul. This desire combined with her sensitive body and became uncontrollable. At this time, she had forgotten the formula, her identity and mission. She had become a woman in urgent need of satisfaction. Qin Haodong was no longer a life and death enemy. He was just a simple man, a man who could bring her a strong temptation. Qin Haodong also felt that something was wrong with him. He stretched out his hand and rubbed his somewhat swollen and numb cheeks. He thought to himself, what's going on? Although this Japanese woman was very beautiful, she was not enough to make him lose control. However, at this moment, the second in command had completely lost control. He raised his head and his eyes once again fell on the lofty scenery on Yagi Yukheim's chest. He could not help but gulp and swallow hard. The second in command became more and more out of control. From the beginning to the end, he did not have any thoughts about this Japanese woman. Because of this, even when he had just kissed Yagi Yukheim, his body had not reacted at all. However, the situation had suddenly changed. He remembered what he had just said. Even if this woman took off her clothes, he would not have any thoughts. However, now he could not wait to immediately throw her on the bed. What was going on? Otherwise, a thought flashed through his mind. Could it be that he had been drugged? How could this be possible? He could still think about this matter with his remaining reason. However, Yagi Yukheim, who had drunk 5 glasses of water in succession, had completely lost her mind. Her 2 blood-red eyes flashed with the flame of desire. Her whole body had been submerged by the most primitive impulse. I want, Yagi Yukheim said in a low voice. She seemed to be confiding and moaning. Then she casually tore off her red evening dress and exposed her body, which could arouse the desire of countless men, to the air. Seeing everything in front of him, Qin Haodong's mind exploded, as if countless explosives had been detonated. His whole body was completely detonated. At this moment, he was sure that he had indeed been drugged. It would not have mattered if he had been alone. As long as he was given an hour, he could use his internal force to force the aphrodisiac out of his body. However, he could not do it now. There was also Yagi Yukime, who had completely lost herself. Without giving him any time to react, she directly jumped over. "Don't come over, don't come over." Qin Haodong bit the tip of his tongue and tried to keep the last trace of sobriety. Then, he raised his hand and poked the acupoint on Yagi Yukime's chest. As long as Yagi Yukime stopped moving, he could detoxify himself first and then detoxify Yagi Yukime. To his surprise, Yagi Yukime's movement did not stop at all. She suddenly threw him to the ground. The moment he fell to the ground, he realized that the cultivation dissipation powder could not really remove the genuine qi in Yagi Yukime's body. It only cut off the connection between the internal qi and the divine awareness. Therefore, Yagi Yukime could not feel the existence of the genuine qi in her body, let alone use it. This was the reason why Qin Haodong was anxious to talk to her about the matter. The cultivation dissipation powder had a time limit. Once 12 hours passed, Yagi Yukime's cultivation would immediately recover. At that time, she would be an expert at the supreme power realm again. However, in fact, there was still a powerful genuine qi flowing in Yagi Yukime's body. There was a big gap between their cultivation, so as soon as the acupoint was poked, it was automatically opened by the genuine qi. It did not have any effect at all. However, it was too late. He had been pushed to the ground by Yagi Yukime, who had fallen into madness. Then, she tore off his clothes quickly and kissed him fiercely. Yagi Yukime obviously had no experience in kissing. Her kiss was very clumsy and rough. However, there was no need for any skills at this time. This had completely stimulated the medicine in Qin Haodong's body, making his last trace of reason disappear. The only thing left was the most primitive reaction of a man to a woman. The medicine was so strong that even Li San himself did not know that when his friend had bought the medicine, the seller had said that after taking the medicine, even if he faced an old sow, he would not be able to control his body, let alone Yagi Yukime, who was extremely beautiful and sexy. Outside the room, Wang Daji and Li San had been secretly following them. When they saw Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukime enter the room together, they suddenly became like ants on a hot pan. Li San comforted him and said, "Young master, you don't have to worry too much. Maybe they just went in to talk about something. They will come out later. Discuss my ass. Look at them. How could they possibly discuss business? They're clearly going to scram. They are obviously going to F***ck off the bed." Wang Daji slapped Li San's head and shouted, "Boy, hurry up and think of a way. Otherwise, the neon woman will be eaten by the gigolo later. All my efforts will be in vain." Li San was also stunned. Things were far beyond his control. He rubbed his head and said, "Young master, I guess they must have drunk the water from the water dispenser. How about I take a few brothers in and catch the gigolo? You can go in and sleep with the neon woman." "Bullshit." Wang Daji slapped Li San's head again and scolded, "Do you know who the F***king gigolo is? He is Qin Haodong. He can fight dozens of people alone. You are just a few rotten garlic. You can't even stand a finger of his. Young master, let's forget about it. We can find another opportunity later. Anyway, there are many beautiful women." Wang Daji slapped Li San's face again and said, "Are you a F***king pig? I'm about to take off my pants. You want me to find someone else?" Chapter 395. Wang Daji was really annoyed to the extreme. He was obsessed with Yagi Yukime, the Japanese woman, and he couldn't wait to press her down on the bed. As a result, he had worked hard and even used the medicine, but his enemy, Qin Haodong, had taken advantage of it. He couldn't accept it in any case. Hurry up and find a way. Even if I can't have sex with that woman, I can't let that gigolo have it. Otherwise, I'll cut you today. Lee San was completely dumbfounded. He had wanted to please his new master and earn some money to spend, but he didn't expect it to turn out like this. Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukheim had entered the room. They were fighting fiercely, and he had put the 3 bottles of medicine in her. Now, he couldn't stop them, nor could he beat them. It was impossible to stop them. However, when he saw Wang Daji's fiery eyes, he had to think of a way. Suddenly, Li San said, "Young master, I have an idea. We can call the police. When the police come, they can drive that gigolo away." Call the police? They're both willing. Can the police do anything? Li San said, "Young master, of course, we can't tell the truth. Just say that someone is raping her. The police will definitely come to see. At that time, whether it's true or not, they can't be together." The sheets. Wang Daji thought about it. It seemed to be a good idea. He said, "Well, you call the police now. Hurry up. If you wait a little longer, they will really be together." Now, Li San couldn't care less. He directly took out his mobile phone and called the police. "Hello, comrade police. I'm reporting a case. It's not me. Miss Yagi Yukheim, the head of the Neon delegation, was raped in room 805 of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel." The person on the other side of the phone was an experienced policeman. After listening to him, he immediately asked, "Who are you? How do you know?" Li San hesitated and said, "I'm a waiter at the banquet. I saw a man drag Miss Yagi Yukheim into the room with my own eyes, so I reported it." "Sir, what's your name? Can you leave your contact information? I'm just doing what's right. Anyway, I've already said it. It's up to you whether you care or not." Then Li San hung up the phone in a hurry. What a joke. How could he leave his name when he called the police? He could not use this phone number in the future. If the police came looking for him, they would say that his phone was stolen. He turned his head and said to Wang Daji flatteringly, "You didn't even leave your name. Do you think the police won't come?" Wang Daji said with some concern, "You didn't even leave your name. Do you think the police won't come?" Li San said proudly, "That's impossible. I was afraid of that, so I told you the identity of the neon woman. This woman's identity is very special. Whether it's true or not, the police dare not be careless. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if something really happens." On the other side of the police reception center, Li San's phone call did cause a great sensation. Due to Yagi Yukheim's special identity, the police who received the call immediately reported the situation. Finally, Wang Jianfeng received it. If it was true that the head of the Neon delegation had been raped in Huaxia, it would definitely be explosive news. Wang Jianfeng did not dare to neglect it. He immediately called Nailan Wuxia and asked her to personally lead a team to the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel to find out the situation. Nailan Wuxia also felt that the situation was unusual. She immediately rushed to the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel, but she didn't rush directly to room 805. As the eldest daughter of an aristocratic family, she was very clear about the situation of this kind of upper-class cocktail party. As long as some rich young masters and young ladies liked each other, it was very likely that they would get a room for in-depth communication, but it was all consensual. Rape rarely happened, let alone rape the leader of the Neon investigation group. Therefore, when she arrived at the hotel, the first thing she did was to go to the cocktail party to understand the situation. As the organizer of the cocktail party, Gao Fong saw several policemen coming over. He immediately realized what had happened and hurried to greet them. As the director of the investment promotion agency, he naturally knew the eldest daughter of the Nailan family. He stepped forward and said to Nailan Wuxia with a smile, "Captain Nailan, what's the matter?" Nailan Wuxia nodded with a smile and said to Gao Fong, "Director Gao, is there a Miss Yagi Yukheim from the Neon delegation here?" "Yes, Miss Yukime is the leader of the Neon delegation, Gao Feng said. Is Miss Yagi Yukime here? She's not here. She just left with a friend. It was Miyashiro Yoshida who spoke. He walked over and said, Mr. Officer, I'm the deputy head of the Neon delegation. If you have anything to say, you can tell me. Nalan Wuxia said, well, we just received a call saying that Yagi Yukime, the head of the Neon delegation, was raped in room 805 of the dreamy Jiangnan Hotel, so I want to know the situation. After listening to him, Gao Feng and Miyashiro Yoshida looked at each other, and anger flashed in their eyes. In their opinion, this must be a prank made by someone who said sour grapes. They were jealous that Qin Haodong could make love with Yagi Yukime. That was why they secretly made such a call to the police. Gao Feng took the lead and said, Officer Nalan, I can tell you responsibly that this situation doesn't exist at all. Miss Yagi Yukime does live in room 805, but she just went back to chat with a friend. There was no rape at all. This is completely made up by some people with ulterior motives. Maybe they want to destroy the friendship between us. Miyashiro Yoshida naturally did not want this to happen. If Yagi Yukime was taken away by the police after getting a room with someone, it would be the biggest scandal of the delegation. He then said, Mr. Officer, Mr. Qin Haodong is a young talent in Huaxia. Miss Yukime is completely willing to be with him. Everyone can see this clearly. There is no coercion at all. I can guarantee you this as the deputy head of the Neon delegation. He was only a peripheral member of the Yagyu family. He did not know that 100 elites of the Yagyu family had been destroyed in Huaxia, nor did he know the main purpose of coming to Huaxia this time. He did not know that Qin Haodong was the enemy of the Yagyu family, so his tone was very respectful when he talked about Qin Haodong. When Nalan Wuxia heard Qin Haodong's name, her heart was moved. This playboy had just been separated for a day. How could he get together with a neon woman? No wonder the slovenly old Taoist said that he was destined to be in love. Gao Feng said again, Captain Nalan, Mr. Qin and Miss Yukime must be talking about cooperation. This is a prank, so please go back. After listening to the two of them, Nalan Wuxia already understood what had happened. Someone must have wanted to play a prank on Qin Haodong. If she found out who this guy was, she would definitely teach him a lesson. Now that things had been clearly understood, she said to the two of them, well, since you two have promised, I will go back first. After that, she waved her hand and led several policemen away. Then, she turned around and walked out of the hotel. When Wang Daji saw that Nalan Wuxia was going to understand the situation, he knew that things were going to be bad. He turned his head and scolded Li San, if you want to call the police, then call the police. Why do you have to mention the neon woman's name? Li San said awkwardly, I was afraid that the police wouldn't come. I thought that when the police came, they would directly rush to 805 and take that little white face away. I didn't expect that woman to be so cunning. She actually went to understand the situation first. You good for nothing, you can't do anything. Wang Desheng scolded again. At this time, Nalan Wuxia was ready to leave with her people. After doing so much, he didn't want all his previous efforts to be in vain. Thinking of the close relationship between Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia, he felt that if Nalan Wuxia knew that Yagi Yukime was in the room with Qin Haodong, she would definitely be furious. If it was Qin Haodong in the room, he would definitely fly into a rage and rush over to take Qin Haodong away. Even if she didn't catch him, she would catch him in the act. At that time, even if she couldn't get that neon woman, she would definitely not let Qin Haodong get her. After this idea appeared in his mind, the more he thought about it, the more excited he became. He immediately trotted to catch up with Nalan Wuxia. Captain Nalan, wait for me. Do you know? The one who got a room in 805 is Qin. Hearing his shout, Miyashiro Yoshida's face immediately sank. As the deputy head of the Neon delegation, of course, he hoped that this matter would end here. He didn't want the whole city to know about it. However, seeing that the police had left, this guy shouted again. It was obvious that he was making trouble. Because of his dissatisfaction, Miyashiro Yoshida gently moved his toes forward. Before Wang Daji could finish his words, he felt his feet stumble. He completely lost his center of gravity and fell forward. In the air, Wang Daji grabbed forward in a hurry. His right hand happened to grab the hem of Nalan Wuxia's police skirt. Fortunately, as an internal strength warrior, Nalan Wuxia's reaction was fast enough. She raised her hand to press the skirt, which avoided the embarrassment of being torn off. Even so, the hem of the skirt was torn off by Wang Daji, exposing her snow-white thighs to the air. As the eldest daughter of the Nalan family and a famous female Tyrannosaurus in the police force, it was the first time that Nalan Wuxia's skirt had been torn off. This made her immediately furious. Bastard! You're courting death. Poor Wang Daji, who had just gotten up from the ground, was slapped to the ground by Nalan Wuxia. Then she kicked him in the lower abdomen. This kick was so powerful that Wang Daji was kicked into the air and fell into the fountain more than 10 meters away. Bastard, you're lucky this time. Nalan Wuxia vented her anger, tidied up her skirt, and then left the hotel in a hurry with her people. Wang Daji fell into the pool. He was in so much pain that he choked a few mouthfuls of water when he was about to shout. Fortunately, Li San and several other bodyguards ran over in time and fished him out. Young master, what should we do? What else can we do? Take me back quickly. In any case, Wang Daji was too ashamed to stay there. He had lost too much face today. He could no longer care about Qin Haodong and Yagi Yukheim in room 805. Amidst the laughter of the crowd, he was carried out of the hotel by several bodyguards. The two people in the room didn't know what had happened outside. Under the powerful effect of the potion, they only had the most primitive desire. They only knew that they were constantly satisfied with each other's bodies. From the bed to the ground, from the balcony to the bathroom, every corner of the room was left with traces of fighting. Time passed, and the banquet was over, but the two people still hadn't left the room. Miyashiro Yoshida was concerned about Yagi Yukheim's safety. He wanted to check the situation, but he felt the fierce fighting before he reached the door. He couldn't help but shake his head. Miss was really amazing. She had been indifferent to men for many years. How could she become so crazy all of a sudden? He asked two men to guard the door and told them not to let anyone disturb them. Then he went back to rest. Chapter 396. Yagi Yukheim had never experienced such a thing before. This time, under the effect of the medicine, she was almost in a crazy state all night. Later, although she slowly recovered some of her consciousness, she had already tasted the sweetness of this kind of thing. She felt a peak that she had never felt before. Most of the medicine's effects were still playing a role, which made her unable to stop. Even though she knew that the man opposite her was Qin Haodong, the enemy of the Yagyu family, she could not control her body. After all, Qin Haodong drank less than 2 glasses of water, so he sobered up faster. He looked at the woman who was constantly galloping on him and shouted with annoyance, "Yagi Yukheim, what are you doing? Get off me." Maybe it was because his shout was too weak, but Yagi Yukheim ignored him and did not intend to stop. Instead, she held his head and kissed him again. After another hour or so, Yagi Yukheim finally stopped. She turned over and rolled to the side, gasping for breath. Qin Haodong felt very bad. He felt that his whole body was about to be squeezed dry from the inside out. His mouth was so dry that it was going to smoke. Water. Drink water. This was his only thought at the moment. After separating from Yagi Yukheim, he immediately jumped out of bed, ran to the water dispenser, filled a large glass of water, and drank it all in one breath. Yagi Yukheim was the same. A night of non-stop fighting had made her lose too much water. Seeing Qin Haodong drink water, she also ran over, took a large glass of water, and drank it all in one breath. Because she drank too fast, the water flowed down from the corner of her mouth and dripped on her chest. If other men saw this scene, they would be very excited. At this time, Qin Haodong did not react at all. He took another glass of water. The two of them acted as if they were competing, drinking one glass after another. Soon, each of them had drunk 4 large glasses of water. The cool feeling finally made the two of them feel much more comfortable. Yagi Yukheim bounced back to the bed without caring about her image, while Qin Haodong sat on the chair next to her. He glanced at Yagi Yukheim's body, which was still red. At this time, this woman was full of temptation. He quickly looked away, but then he saw the red on the bed sheet. This was not surprising. It could be seen from Yagi Yukheim's reaction last night that she had no experience in this area. However, this was only the beginning. Driven by her instincts, she soon became incomparably familiar with this most primitive movement. She was probably already an expert in this aspect. Just as he was thinking, Yagi Yukheim said in a cold voice, "Did you drug me?" She knew very well that if she hadn't been stimulated by drugs, she wouldn't have become like this. She definitely wouldn't have gone against her family's archenemy. Bed. The feeling she had just experienced was still fresh in her memory. That primal drive from her body was too terrifying. She couldn't resist it at all. She couldn't stop even if she wanted to. However, she was not a teenage girl, so she did not cry. On the contrary, she looked at Qin Haodong with anger and hatred. At the same time, she was also thinking about the ins and outs of this matter. Are you king big-breasted and brainless? When it came to poisoning, Qin Haodong immediately became angry. Have you ever seen someone poison himself? Even if I were to poison someone, I wouldn't poison a neon woman like you. He was really very unhappy now. He had so many relationships with his confidants that had not been resolved yet. He didn't expect that he would sleep with this neon woman in a muddle. What was going on? However, no matter what he said, Yagi Yukheim's eyes still released a deep hatred. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, "I'm going to kill you." Qin Haodong suddenly stood up and shouted, "Kill me? I'm going to kill you. You were the one who pushed me down, okay?" However, after saying that, he immediately realized that the woman in front of him had reached the supreme power realm. He quickly turned his head and looked out of the window. He saw that the sun had just risen and there was still some time before the cultivation dissipation powder lost its effect. He felt much more at ease. However, he didn't expect that although he didn't have cultivation, this did not affect Yagi Yukheim's hatred for him. As an extremely proud woman, she didn't expect to lose her innocence in this way. The more Yagi Yukheim thought about it, the angrier she became. She suddenly rushed toward Qin Haodong. "I'm going to kill you." Due to the suddenness of the incident, Qin Haodong did not have any mental preparation. Yagi Yukheim pounced on him. Her plump body fell into his arms. Her 2 arms tightly strangled his neck. The two of them were entangled again. Yagi Yukheim hadn't recovered her cultivation yet. Of course, Qin Haodong didn't care about this kind of attack. However, he was surprised to find that the second in command had stood up again, which almost made him collapse. Before he could figure out what was going on, he found that Yagi Yukheim's eyes in front of him had also become blurred. The 2 hands that had been strangling his neck slowly lost their strength. In the end, they hugged each other. Then, her delicate red lips pressed against his again. "What the hell, do you want to do it again?" After the shock, he immediately realized the problem. The water was from the water dispenser. Originally, he thought that someone had done something to it at the banquet. Now it seemed that the problem was in the water dispenser. That was to say, before they came back, someone had already put the medicine in the water dispenser. The purpose was to make them have sex. However, it was too late to understand at this time. His heart was getting more and more restless, and his body was getting hotter and hotter. Slowly, he was lost with Yagi Yukheim again. When Qin Haodong opened his eyes again, there was still a ray of sunshine outside the window. However, it had changed from the initial sunrise to the current sunset, which meant that it was already evening. He turned his head to the side and saw that Yagi Yukime was also looking at him with red eyes. However, at this time, her eyes had lost the blurriness just now and were full of hatred again. This kind of hateful eyes immediately made Qin Haodong sober up. He suddenly sat up. It was less than an hour from 24 hours. Once this woman recovered her cultivation, she would really kill him. Don't look at me like that. I'm also a victim. His voice was a little hoarse. After such a series of battles, both of them were seriously dehydrated. At this time, their throats were so dry that they were smoking. Yagi Yukime glared at him again with murderous eyes. She turned her head and walked to the water dispenser. Out of instinct, she wanted to drink water. You can't drink anymore. Qin Haodong was so scared that he trembled all over and hurriedly shouted, the problem is in the water. Someone must have done something in the water. Yagi Yukime was not grateful for Qin Haodong's reminder at all. She turned her head and said with killing intent again, I'm going to kill you. Qin Haodong said with annoyance, kill, kill, kill. I say, is there something wrong with your brain? You pushed me down twice. Why do you want to kill me? If you want to kill someone, it should be me who kills you. If you have the ability, then kill me. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Yagi Yukime gritted her teeth and said, I swear to God, I will definitely kill you. Qin Haodong suddenly became angry. He had just been drugged, and now he was threatened by this Japanese woman again and again. He said angrily, do you really think I don't dare to kill you? After that, he reached out and grabbed Yagi Yukime's neck, pressing her whole body against the wall behind her. Yagi Yukime did not struggle at all. After her neck was grabbed, her face became more and more swollen. However, her eyes still flashed with deep hatred, as if she wanted to eat Qin Haodong alive. As time went by, her lack of oxygen became more and more serious. She was about to suffocate to death, but the hatred in her eyes still did not diminish. Qin Haodong glanced at the plum-like bloodstain on the bed sheet. In the end, he sighed and withdrew his right hand. He was still too soft-hearted. No matter what, he could not kill the woman who had just slept with him. Yagi Yukime sat on the ground with a plop. First, she coughed violently for a while, then she gasped for breath. After she recovered, she said fiercely, Qin Haodong, do you dare not kill me? I will kill you sooner or later. You crazy woman, do you have to force me to kill you? Qin Haodong looked at Yagi Yukime fiercely. He grabbed the quilt on the bed and threw it on her, covering her body. Then, he put on his clothes again. Yagi Yukime, we should talk calmly. Yagi Yukime seemed to have calmed down a lot. She said, give me the antidote. Qin Haodong said, I can give you the antidote, but you have to promise not to make trouble for me in the future. That's impossible. You are the enemy of our Yagyu family, and you took away my innocence. Just wait for our Yagyu family's revenge. Qin Haodong said angrily, what's wrong with your brain? In that case, you can be an ordinary person for the rest of your life. After that, he turned his head and was about to leave. Yagi Yukime said coldly, if you dare to walk out of this room, I will immediately call the police and say that you raped me. Qin Haodong had a headache. If this woman called the police, it would be really troublesome. Although many people had seen them walk into the room voluntarily last night, who knew which bastard had done something in the water dispenser? This kind of thing could not be explained clearly in any way. Generally speaking, as a martial artist, he would not use such a despicable method. However, the woman in front of him was really unpredictable. She might really be able to do it. He turned around, frowned and said, what do you want? You're not really forcing me to kill you, are you? Yagi Yukime said, give me the antidote. I can promise not to call the police, and I won't do anything to the people around you. Well, I hope you can keep your promise. After Qin Haodong said that, he raised his finger slightly and a small black pill fell in front of Yagi Yukime. This is the antidote of the cultivation dissipation powder. After taking it, you can recover your strength within 24 hours. Yagi Yukheim picked up the pill and threw it into her mouth without hesitation. Qin Haodong said, "Aren't you afraid that it's poison?" Yagi Yukheim said, "You don't dare to kill me. At least for now, you don't dare. Everyone knows that we entered the room together. If I die, you won't be able to escape responsibility. Well, you win. Remember your promise." After Qin Haodong said that, he turned around and left the room. Then, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He naturally knew that the hatred between him and the Yagyu family could not be resolved. All he had said was to buy himself some time to prepare. The pill he had just given Yagi Yukheim was naturally not the antidote, but another small pill made of the cultivation dissipation powder. The cultivation dissipation powder from the last time was about to fail, so he made another one. This way, he could buy himself another 24 hours. As long as he was prepared, it would be useless even if Yagi Yukheim was a supreme power master. Yagi Yukheim did not know this. She thought that she had successfully threatened Qin Haodong and got the antidote. She did not know that she had been tricked again. Chapter 397. Qin Haodong went out of the room, took out 2 bottles of mineral water from the storage ring and gulped it down. Then he wiped his mouth and walked out of the hotel. Along the way, he found that the waiters in the hotel and the members of the Neon delegation all looked at him in a very strange way, as if they all admired him very much. He didn't know that in the past 24 hours, he and Yagi Yukheim had made too much noise. It was not an exaggeration to describe it as earth-shattering. Almost everyone in the hotel had been alarmed. If Miyashiro Yoshida had not sent someone to guard the door, it would have attracted countless onlookers. Although these hotel waiters were experienced and knowledgeable, they had never seen such a fierce battle. Naturally, they admired Qin Haodong very much. The Neon woman was so fierce, but she was conquered by this guy. He was definitely a fierce man of Huaxia. It could be said that he had won glory for the country. The people of the Neon delegation were in a different mood. Yagi Yukheim was known as a two-faced enchantress in Neon. No man dared to get close to her. However, this young man from Celestial Empire had slept with her after just one dance. Moreover, he had slept with her for so long. It really refreshed their worldview. Looking at Qin Haodong's back as he left, Miyashiro Yoshida was lost in thought. He did not understand why Miss Yukheim suddenly acted out of character and went to bed with a man the first time they met. However, he was only a peripheral member of the Yagyu family and the deputy head of the investigation team, so it was not appropriate for him to ask about these things. Qin Haodong walked out of the dreamy Jiangnan hotel. When he was about to take a taxi, he saw a BMW off-road vehicle parked next to him. A tall woman was standing beside the car. It was Nalan Wuxia. "What's wrong? Great divine doctor, are you finally willing to come out?" Nalan Wuxia looked at him and said with a strange expression. Qin Haodong opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. He said to Nalan Wuxia, "Hurry up and drive. Why are you in such a hurry? Where are you going? Hurry up and find the nearest restaurant. I'm starving." He hadn't eaten for a full 24 hours and had been doing the most intense primitive exercise. He was so hungry that his eyes were green. "What? Are you so busy that you don't even have time to eat?" Nalan Wuxia said this, but she still started the car. "Hurry up and find a place. I'll talk to you later." Qin Haodong was really hungry and didn't want to wait any longer. Fortunately, he saw a bone soup noodle restaurant on the side of the road not far away. He quickly asked Nalan Wuxia to stop, and then rushed into the noodle restaurant like a gust of wind. After eating 3 bowls of bone noodles in a row, he patted his belly with satisfaction. Nalan Wuxia looked at him and said, "Are you so hungry? Have you been emptied by that Japanese woman?" You know all about it?" Qin Haodong said with slight embarrassment. "What do you think? Is that Neon woman obedient to you now?" Nalan Wuxia looked at Qin Haodong with an inscrutable expression. Thinking of Yagi Yukim's hateful eyes, Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "Of course not. That woman is shouting that she wants to kill me right now. How is that possible? Didn't they say that neon women are the most considerate to men? Especially after you've had sex, you'll become completely man-centered. Rumors, I can guarantee that this is definitely a rumor." Qin Haodong said bitterly. Nalan Wuxia pouted and said, "Isn't that so? Then why did you sleep with that neon woman?" As she spoke, she had already revealed an unconcealable jealousy. After chasing Qin Haodong for so long, they were limited to holding hands and kissing. She didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, he would sleep with that neon woman. "Do you think I wanted to?" Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "I was drugged this time." He told the story of Yagi Yukim's arrival in Huaxia from beginning to end. Finally, he said, "I tried my best to give her the cultivation dissipation powder. I wanted to talk to her room and find out the purpose of the Yagyu family in Huaxia this time. I also wanted to solve the problem of the Chinese medicine wholesale market. I don't know who drugged the water dispenser and made things like this." "I see." After listening to Qin Haodong's words, Nalan Wuxia finally felt a little better. She said, "I know who drugged her." "Who?" Qin Haodong said angrily, "If I find out who did it, I will sell him to Neon to be a male prostitute." Nalan Wuxia told him about the situation of receiving the police report last night and then said, "I did some investigation after that. Wang Daji's bodyguard, Li San, knew which room Yagi Yukim lived in before the incident. Later, Li San, also called the police, so I guess it must be Wang Daji who did it. Bastard, I won't spare him." After scolding, Qin Haodong then asked, "Why did he do this? What good would it do him if I had sex with that neon woman? It seems that your brain was damaged by that neon woman." Nalan Wuxia rolled her eyes at him and said, "Wang Daji tried his best to drug her for himself. He must have taken a fancy to that neon woman, but he didn't expect that he would make a wedding dress for you. Because of this, he called the police later. He wanted to stop you through the police, but he didn't succeed." Qin Haodong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect that he would be implicated. He said, "Wang Daji is really courting death. He even dared to do something to a supreme power master. If I hadn't given Yagi Yukim the cultivation dissipation powder, he wouldn't even know how he died." Nalan Wuxia said, "Is that neon woman really that powerful?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Although Yagi Yukim is a bit abnormal, she is indeed a supreme power master." Nalan Wuxia said, "Why didn't you directly abolish her cultivation to avoid future troubles?" Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "I also want to, but I need that ability. I don't have all the medicinal materials in my hands, so I can only configure the incomplete version of the cultivation dissipation powder. It's good enough to last for 24 hours. Nalan Wuxia said with some worry, "What are you going to do in the future? The revenge of a supreme power master is terrible." Qin Haodong said, "It doesn't matter. Yagi Yukim will recover her cultivation in 24 hours. I still have enough time to prepare." Nalan Wuxia still said with some worry, "Can you do it? Should I arrest her first? Anyway, she came to Huaxia with bad intentions." Qin Haodong hurriedly said, "That won't do. That woman is abnormal, and her cultivation is very high. Don't provoke her. Don't worry about me. As long as I have enough time to prepare, I am 100% sure that I can deal with her." Nalan Wuxia nodded and said, "Well, you must be careful." After that, they left the noodle house together. Qin Haodong asked Nalan Wuxia to send him back to Daddy's security company. Compared with Lin's villa, this place was more suitable for fighting with Yagi Yukim. After Qin Haodong left, Yagi Yukim asked someone to bring in a box of mineral water and food. In the next 24 hours, she didn't go out. Her eyes were fixed on the clock on the wall, and her eyes were full of hatred. She couldn't accept that she had lost her first time, and she couldn't accept that the other party was a Huaxia person. The man she couldn't tolerate the most was Qin Haodong. Finally, the long day passed. Qin Haodong didn't lie to her. When the clock jumped to the full 24 hours, there was a loud bang in her body. The huge genuine qi quickly established a connection with her divine awareness. The momentum of her whole body suddenly increased, and the feeling of power came back. From now on, she was Yagi Yukime, a heaven-stage ninja. She would kill anyone who stood in her way. What she wanted to do was to kill Qin Haodong and take revenge. She walked out of the door, and there was a sword less than 1 meter long behind her. This was one of the most famous magic weapons in Neon, Dujijiri Yasutsuna. This sword had disappeared in Neon for many years, and it had been treasured by the Yagyu family as a family treasure. Before coming to Huaxia this time, Yagyu Shinji had personally given this magic weapon to Yagi Yukime. Today, she would use this sword to kill Qin Haodong and avenge herself and the Yagyu family. In the past 2 days, Miyashiro Yoshida had been guarding outside Yagi Yukime's room, for fear that something would happen to her. When he saw her go out, he quickly went forward and asked, "Miss Yukime, where are you going?" "It's none of your business. Just stay at home and watch." After Yagi Yukime finished speaking, she strode out of the hotel. Looking at Yagi Yukime, who was full of murderous intent, Miyashiro Yoshida looked inexplicable. Since Qin Haodong left, the young lady had become strange. What was going on? Did she voluntarily sleep with that Huaxia man? Did she sleep with him? Could it be that Huaxia man didn't satisfy her? That shouldn't be the case. He believed that no one else could have that kind of earth-shattering battle. If that couldn't satisfy the young lady, then her requirements were too high, right? Yagi Yukime didn't know the complicated thoughts of her subordinates. She went out and went straight to the daddy security company. As a heaven-stage ninja, she had her own unique means. She had already left a tracking mark on Qin Haodong. At this time, it was already night. The daddy security company looked quiet, and everything was normal and orderly. Yagi Yukime carefully sneaked into the daddy security company. At a glance, she saw Qin Haodong set up a table on the training ground. He was drinking beer and eating chicken wings. He looked very relaxed. "You bastard, go to hell!" Yagi Yukime shouted and appeared from the darkness. The Dujijiri Yasutsuna in her hand turned into a white lightning bolt and instantly pierced Qin Haodong's chest. She saw that she had killed her enemy, but she didn't feel any pleasure after revenge. That was because she didn't feel that the knife had touched anything. It was like stabbing the air. At this moment, the person who had been stabbed in the chest disappeared, and another figure appeared behind her. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Yagi Yukime, your heart is really like a snake. Anyway, we just rolled the bed. You want to kill me so soon? You're courting death." Yagi Yukime wielded her knife like the wind. She turned around and cut Qin Haodong into 2 pieces again with the Dujijiri Yasutsuna. However, to her disappointment, it was still an illusion in front of her. This time, it was still in the air. Illusion? How could there be so many illusions? Just when she was extremely surprised, Qin Haodong's figure appeared behind her. The 1,000 blades in his hand turned into a sky full of knife shadows. This time, it should be real. Yagi Yukime raised the Dujijiri Yasutsuna in her hand high, gathered all her strength, and slashed forward. The full power of a supreme power expert was terrible. The sharp knife chi brought people a sense of oppression, and the surrounding space seemed to collapse. But to her disappointment, the result was the same as the previous 2 times. Qin Haodong's figure disappeared again, and her knife slashed in the air again. "Despicable Huaxia man, come out!" Yagi Yukime roared angrily at the surroundings. "What's the hurry? I'm here," Qin Haodong said and appeared in front of her again, still with a faint smile on his face. "You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.